Yo ho 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 hee ha hee 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 ha. First time listening to the stream. Can you hear me loud and clear? How do I sound? Raise your hand if you're trying to be in the sloppy Joel sandwich. Raise your hand if you want to get turned into ground beef and stir-fried in some barbecue sauce. Oh yeah. Sounds good. Perfect. I'm super duper sick and my lip is swollen. Why is your lip swollen? What happened? Was it stung by a bee? Was it kissed by a wasp? Stop the song. I'm fasting. It's Ramadan, my man. Fasting from music? I thought it was just fasting from food. Either way, unfortunately, I can't relate. David De La Rosa. Hi Joel, what's up? How was your day? It was a good day. It was a good day. What did I do today? I worked out. Yeah, lifted some weights. What we do? We did shoulder or overhead press, and then single leg barbell squats, and then Arnold press, and some bicep, tricep, sort of superset bullshit. And then sort of a circuit, cardio circuit of like sprinting on the bike, and then the ski machine, if you ever done that. It's kind of an interesting machine. And then Russian twists. See the latest trailer for Tears of a Kingdom. Ganon's gonna be beefy daddy now. Dude, that actually looks sick, and I probably will get it, mainly just because of the creativity it seems that you can have with like the moving machine parts and that kind of thing. That to me seems very interesting. I feel like, you know, like any normal Zelda game obviously is going to be a good time, or at least, you know, you get what you pay for. But I like this one because it seems it seems like you got some little variety. Oh, David with the two, so I forgot to ask, did you pass Resident Evil 4? So I haven't played in like a week. I just really haven't had time or like thought to sit down and do it. But I definitely probably will try to finish it this weekend at some point. Finally caught a live. Hi from the Netherlands, Europe, not the underworld. The Netherlands. The Nether. Where all the spirits go and wait. Do you guys think that there's a spirit world where we all meander around in the darkness, waiting for what we don't know? Can you imagine that? Imagine like, okay, in life is kind of confusing, right? Imagine if when you died, it was like just as equally confusing. Like there was no answers, no like clear cut like heaven or hell type scenario. And then that was it. And then you're just confused forever. Sorry, that's kind of a morbid, but I guess it is a scary story channel. We can say that. But yeah, anybody who's new to the stream, glad you're here. Basically, you can see the timer up on the screen. And for these first 20 minutes or so, we're chilling. We're $100 billing. And then at around the 0 marker, I'll switch up to something a little bit more ambient for you. It's a little more spooky and you'll get to listen to me flubble around trying to record some spooky stories. Yippee! Read it up. What if this is hell already? Well, I guess this wouldn't be that bad of a hell, huh? I can only imagine. I don't know. And we have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah, we really just don't know sometimes. It is hard to know. Can you do more hot Kermit impressions? Kermit the Frog here. And my Kermussy is fucking soaking wet. Did Be a Cop get posted on YouTube, or is it just a podcast? So all the podcast stuff is like older content that's remastered. So if you want to listen to all the newest content, you're going to want to stick around here on YouTube. Let's read. Froggussy. Joel, there's a big fat infected toe gobbler under my bed. Oh my god. That one moment that you're going to stick your tootsies down there, get them gobbled on. Is this on repeat? What do you mean? Are we already having issues? I hope we don't have issues again tonight. I didn't troubleshoot exactly what was going on. Am I gonna do a feet reveal at 1 million? No, because then the big infected fat toe gobbler will get me, or at least attract him. See, that's the issue for a lot of OnlyFans people who put feet pics online for money. It comes with a price, and not just the price that you charge for those sick perverts, but it's the toe gobbler that gets a sense, gets a scent of it, gets a sniff, gets a taste with the images, and when you least expect it, you're gonna be leaning over the edge of your bed, and you're gonna feel something slimy slithering through your piggly wigglies. Big toe reveal. That'd be funny if like you do one big toe reveal and like 100 years from now, forensics is like so advanced they can like take that and like create like a full image of like what you look like just from a big toe pic. This is disgusting. Hello, my name is Disgusting, and welcome to the show. That's why you can't sleep with your feet not covered. Exactly. It's a liability. Anyways, what did you guys do today? Anything of note? Love you, Joey. Thanks. Are you calling me disgusting? Question mark, question mark. Booga booga, shmooga wooga. Did the emojis help boost the stream? No, I don't think so. I still got more I'd like to put up. I was just testing out some. Me? Me of all people? Lynn with a 5 says almost at 1 milli butter socks. So does that mean that 1 milli cups of lean for Pradeep? Love you as always. By the way, how many stores now? We got 5. 5 thick ones. Yeah, Pradeep's gonna be leaned out of his mind. Chat GPT will help with in the toe image department. You recently quit drinking for good? Good. We must be sober kings and queens around here. None of that copium bullshit. We must stay focused if we want to advance in life. Did you ever get burnt out being as consistent as you are recording these stories? Yeah, definitely, I think so. But in some odd sense of reality. It kind of helps me stay organized, I guess, with my own life, you know what I mean? I just, I don't know. I very seldom go on vacation, I guess. I don't even really know what I would do on vacation. Sometimes I go on vacation and what ends up happening is I get sick just because my sleep is bad and I'm like, you know, traveling through fucking the germ department of every airport or wherever. And then I'm just like, I don't know. This is a good feeling when you get back from vacation and you get back to your usual little spot on the floor that you're normally at, you know, where you've stood there or sat there for so long it's left your, you know, disgusting bleached imprint where, you know, the crime scene will come investigate and they're like, well, sir, we know that he stood and or sat here for most of his life. Hitsubasa with a 2. Post pretty feet pics. Give us the beans. Now that would be good. That would be some cute shit right there. I might just do that if I remember. You have to remind me on Twitter. I listen to your nourishing sleep, which makes me too scared to get water in the middle of the night, so now I'm dehydrated. Yeah, just slowly killing you. That was the plan. Like as you like wake up, you're like, you know, your mouth is dry. And you get up to go to the bathroom and then it's just my voice. I wouldn't do that if I were you. And then the big infected toe gobbler's tongue comes out from under the bed. Joel, free camping vacation, still open invitation. I appreciate it. Is it a free camping vacation because you're homeless? And I would be going to a homeless camp? In which case, count me in. Oh shit. Potties, hey yeah. In the Snooki voice. Wait, what's hey yeah? How do you find the stories of future videos? Do you have a team? I do actually have someone that cycles through my emails using just like keywords and stuff when I let them know what kind of topics people want to hear, or we, you know, have an ongoing kind of like look-see for stuff and eventually build up a repertoire of stories to use for a particular topic from you guys sending them in, or the subreddit, but the subreddit's like hit or miss. Do I know the band Your Favorite Martian? I do not, no. Is it good? What kind of music do they do? Do I do the voices? I do a voice or two. How do we know you're the real Joel and not the chat BBC? That's a good question. I guess you'll never know. Just behave yourself and maybe the AI gods will treat you well. Bum fights. Any good bum fight videos come out lately? Gotta catch up. There's over 9,000 hours of bum fight tape I gotta run through. That'd be really funny if there was a whole YouTube channel devoted to like reviewing bum fights. But it's like bigger than Mr. Beast. YouTube loves bum fights. Any update on that creepy email you got? You know what's funny is like a lot of people are just seeing that, but it's like that's actually over a year old now, because it finally made it to the podcast. So yeah, no updates on that, thankfully. Joel is a bot, a power bot. Do I live in LA? Nah, fuck that, dude. I feel like if I lived in LA, I would die inside. I mean, I understand why people do it, but I don't know, going someplace like that on just like a whim. I mean, I really wouldn't have much of a purpose there, I suppose, unless somebody really brought me out for a reason. Mr. Beast trying to buy into the pro league scene. Like, what's pro league? Like soccer or fucking video games? Or is this Closey? It is Closey, yeah. Sunset Dream Tempo set. Did she so? I don't know if is it her music or does she just make mixes? Because either way, it's fucking sick. I'm gonna link it there in the chat if you want to listen to it later. Oh, League of Legends. Can't take the pencil tucky out of Joel. I don't know, man. I think everybody who goes to LA, like, their soul just like slowly rots and they become some sort of abstract creature of their prior selves. It just doesn't. I guess if I had a reason, Rob C says LA sucks. It's cliques of content creators and influencers. I turned down a pretty sweet finance gig there. Interesting. So you were there for a while prior to coming to the realization it was not for you. Hello, Governor. I watched your videos at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're amazing. Thank you. It's the best time to watch. I went to LA for a weekend and driving around is a nightmare. I literally wanted to kill myself. I don't know how many people live. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Even, that, New York City, it just, really at the end of the day, it's like, if you look back at yourself as just like a simple villager, the reason people lived in villages in the past is because those support circles really, help them to just sort of feel comfortable and exist as a human being and feel normal. And I feel like there's this strange sense of like we're all chasing after money and fame. I mean, if you really think about it, like even if you do achieve that money and fame, whatever it is people want, if you don't have like strong social circles around you, I feel like you just end up turning into, I don't know, you end up like hanging yourself by a belt off of a door while jerking off or something. And, that's kind of an embarrassing way to go, don't you think? I just responded to your chat. No worries. No, yeah, stick around, guys. I usually read everyone's stuff as long as they don't spam and aren't rude or anything like that. You assumed LA or NYC since everyone even remotely famous lives there. Well, I'm not really remotely famous. I mean, if I was famous, I would... I don't know. I guess if at some reason I had a purpose to be there, like something with the voice acting calls me to a location, but I don't know. Yeah, fame sounds terrible. I know. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't really seem, I mean, it's cool. I think it would be cool, like, if you walked around and people knew you and they were like, yo, and they wanted to be like your passing by friend and maybe they wanted to chill with you at the airport and have a drink or something like that. That would be nice. But at the same time, you also, it probably could get pretty annoying too, especially if someone, I don't know, they didn't like an opinion that you had. And there's some sort of like weird energy lately where people like who have like mental illnesses and stuff, if they don't like your differing opinion, they just get a little wild about things. I guess that's how it's always been, huh? Raven, welcome back for 10 months in the Buttersock call. It says, I'm from Singapore, and you're famous enough for me to listen to at 10:35 a.m. in the morning at work. Well, I appreciate you, Raven. Yeah, I'll take just a little bit of fame. Just a tad. A tad of fame. Too much attention is a thing. Exactly. Can be a little overstimulating. And Rosa Diaz with the 5. Oh, this is a sick part of the song. Wow. Little Pac-Man. Dude, people who make music are like the most amazing motherfuckers ever. I don't know, it just... You just like feel this shit, dude. Just feel this fucking music, dude. Oh, man. Yeah. Alright. Sorry. It is literally magic to me. I don't know. It makes me never want to learn music just so I forever look at it as spiritual. Rosa Diaz with the 5 says, hi, Chad. I hope everyone is well. I got my wisdom teeth out today. I have a little to no pain and minimal swelling. Is this normal? Any advice? No, that's awesome. You know, it might be a little bit of a delayed a little bit of a delayed swelling, a little bit of delayed pain. So don't be surprised if maybe the day after, you know, the surgery and all that kind of stuff, it kind of catches up to you. So, you know, don't go throwing out all your pain meds because you want to avoid them, even though obviously be careful taking too much of that shit. But also keep your ice pack ready and have somebody around to help you with stuff if you need it. It'd be a little bit annoying. All right, friends. Once again, that was the Closey Sunset Dream Tempo set. I'm going to switch up to our reading screen here. And 7-Leaf Clover, welcome back. For 2 months. Hey, Joel, been sick off and on for 2 weeks. Quit my job yesterday. Very toxic. Very happy, though. Doing some shopping for upcoming camping trip. Hey, that's awesome. That sounds fantastic. And yeah, hey, if you got to get away from a toxic environment, it's fucking worth it, even if there's going to be some changes in your life, you know, to figure that out. But I know you will. We always do. But I'm glad to see you back. 7-Leaf. The narcotic didn't work for me, surprisingly. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, hopefully it doesn't get too much worse. And, I got my wisdom teeth out, you know, fucking 2008. You know what I mean? It's been a while. So who knows to what extent things have changed or the way they extract it have changed. Back then, they used to just take a mallet to the back with like a chisel and just kind of like scrape it out. I don't know if they still do that or not. Your family is toxic as fuck. Tell me you don't know what to do. Well, you know, as you get older, or I don't know how old you are now, but it'll just be wise to try to distance yourself as much as possible and just take them in doses, because you don't want to like completely cut your family out. I mean, it's up to you, but I know it can be tough. Do I believe in ghosts? You know, I think so. I just feel bad for ghosts, you know, just being, if it is like the conventional sense of just like unfinished business or whatever it might be. It just seems strange to just be like lost and confused in like a world of darkness all the time. And like you see people in your house and you're just like, what the fuck? Who's that? And like in many ways they probably seem like a ghost to you. I wouldn't be surprised. It would be kind of a cool movie, I always thought, where the ghosts think you're a ghost and you think they're a ghost, you know, but you're just both in some sort of separate sort of existence and you're both terrified of one another. Joel, buy something from Craigslist to get your own first-hand experience of a horror story. I've been trying. Going on to Mist Adventures or wherever on there. All right, friends. Like I said, we got 5 sleepover stories here tonight. I want to thank you for being here. Click that like button. Much appreciated. Are we both ghosts, and are we both gonna ghost kiss? That would be kind of sick. If your ghost just like would give you smooches at nighttime. That's what The Others is kind of about. That's cool. I never seen that. I never seen it. Isn't that Beetlejuice? Is it? It might be. I don't know. Beetlejuice has been a while, but I feel like in Beetlejuice they... You know what? It's been a while. I can't even really recall the specifics. New Evil Dead looks pretty good. Actually, scurry. Yeah, the succubus. Yeah, sometimes I kind of wish I had a succubus, you know? Just on hand. Have you had any fan encounters? How do you feel about it? And, you know, I never had any fan encounters IRL, because, I mean, the only thing I ever went to was VidCon. And when I was at VidCon, nobody knew who I was, so I was just kind of... That's kind of the better part of not showing your feet. Nobody can use their forensics to rebuild you. The succubusy. Am I a stoner? Nah. I like to keep focused. You took MDA with your girlfriend today. You feel like you've been healed? Well, yeah, what's the aftermath of that? Isn't there like sort of a serotonin drop from that point where you might feel a little bit depressed? Something to look into just to kind of prepare for in the following days. I have the Beetlejuice shrunken head tattooed on your sidearm. Nice, that's cool. Okay. Make sure my mic is clear. Hi, Joel. This is my first time writing to you, and since this is a very sensitive topic in my old hometown, I'd rather remain anonymous if that's okay with you. I had a friend back in elementary school, not my closest friend, but we moved in the same circles, and at one point she invited me over to her house for a sleepover. I was only too happy to accept. It sounded fun. But little did I know it was a night that would have some seriously far-reaching implications. So this friend of mine, we'll call her Annie, lived with her mom and stepdad. They seemed like nice enough folks, and their place was nice enough, but I guess a lot of us come to learn as we grow older, appearances can be deceptive. On the night of the sleepover, her mom wasn't due home until later in the evening. This meant that we were in the care of my friend's stepdad, and because of our bedtime, we weren't likely to see her mom until the following morning. This was no big deal to me at all, but it was to my friend, who kept bringing it up at odd moments while we were playing. It also became increasingly obvious that she didn't really like her stepdad at all that much, which I guess is but par for the course for some children or... Oops. Sheesh. Am I single? Singles Awareness Day, every February 14th. I have no idea what they did. They sedated me via IV, and when injecting the actual sedative, I closed my eyes, then opened my eyes to see I was done. Yeah, that happened to me too. I feel like I did gas or something, like anesthesia gas. Yeah. And I just remember, like closing my eyes, waking up, and like honestly being pretty with it to the extent that I felt like I could drive home. I didn't, but I just remember like thinking like, oh, I'm good. But then something about like the numbness of it sort of like caught up later, and I was like drooling, really annoyed, and like then the sort of aching pain of it all started to catch up after a day. Jacob Bowling with the 5 says, what a chat we have tonight. I'm back in North Carolina in my house, and Brandon is driving me crazy. He did a shower prank on me. He put Kool-Aid on me. Oh my God. Already doing pranks at the age of 4. It's crazy. Which I guess is about par for the course for some children of divorce, so I didn't really read into it all that much. But then came bedtime. We got into our PJs, brushed our teeth, and went back to Annie's bedroom to climb into bed. I guess if he had a nightlight or anything... I guess if she had a nightlight or anything and went to turn off the bed's main light, but... Oh, I asked, my bad. I asked if she had a nightlight or anything and went to turn off the bedroom's main light, but she stopped me, telling me that her stepdad would be up soon to check on us. Only when he made sure that we were tucked in bed would we be allowed to turn the nightlight on and talk for a while. It seemed like a weirdly strict way of doing things, but I figured that I better just respect their systems, so I lay down on the blow-up mattress that they'd put down for me and got tucked in. I remember talking to Annie about something. I can't remember what exactly, but the conversation took this sudden turn when, out of nowhere, she said, "I'm real glad you're here tonight, Sarah. Thank you for sleeping over." I guess from how it looks on paper, that sounds like a pretty wholesome moment, right? But that just makes me wish y'all could actually hear Annie saying those words, because the way her voice sounded gave me them... Oopsies. Because the way her voice sounded gave them a distinctly unsettling feel. It was almost like my presence was going to prevent something bad from happening, and at the time, I figured that bad thing was just Annie being lonely on a Friday night. She also wasn't the most popular girl around, and I think it played on her insecurities, so it made sense that our friendship meant a lot to her. But in truth, there was a whole other reason she was glad I was there. I remember me and Annie hearing her stepdad walking up the stairs and her swiftly laying back in bed. Ooh. Ooh, ah. Ooh, ah, ah. Rosa Diaz with a 30 twerkable buckaroo. He says, sorry to interrupt, but it's Master and Michelle D's birthday. Hey, happy birthday, guys. Thank you, Rosa, for letting us know. I appreciate that. And thank you for the 30. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, my friends. Joel obviously doesn't have a girlfriend. It's pretty clear. Anybody who twerks like that just doesn't have the time. He's too busy practicing twerking. I remember me and Annie hearing her stepdad walking up the stairs and her swiftly laying back in bed with the covers up to her chin. Now, looking back on it, there was a kind of military precision to it. Annie seemed nervous, like she was focused to pass some kind of inspection, which is exactly what I assumed was going on. I figured if her stepdad was that strict, I better do her a solid and just act likewise, so I did. I lay back down on the blow-up mattress and pulled the covers up to my chin. Annie's stepdad then walked into the room, and instead of carrying himself like some drill sergeant, he seemed perfectly warm and friendly, just like he'd been all evening. Then he walks over to Annie's bed to take a seat on the edge and leans in to give her a goodnight kiss. Only instead of a quick peck on the cheek or forehead before standing up again, he lingers a little too long after the kiss itself. It didn't strike me as being wrong or anything, just weird. And then, as he started to whisper something to Annie, she said aloud, "I want to talk to Sarah." I remember thinking, so talk to me, I'm right here. Like the whole situation just seemed really off to me for some reason, and I couldn't figure out why. I knew different families did things differently. I guess I was just too naive to recognize something that would have seemed obvious if I'd seen it today. So as I'd said, Annie had thrown out some vague ultimatum, which signaled to her stepdad to leave. He shifted a little, looked back at me for a moment with a smile, then turned back to start whispering something to Annie again. She cuts him off even more assertively that time, saying, "Dad, I want to talk to Sarah, please." There was a brief pause, and then he said, "Okay, sweetie." And after that, he finally left the room. Like I said, I knew that I just witnessed something significant, I just didn't know what. But the vibe in the room afterwards was very intense. Annie stayed quiet for a long time. Then when she finally spoke, she said that same heartwarming, turned creepy, what? Wizard Loaf for the first super chat ever from them. Thank you, Wizard Loaf, for the 10. Says, "Hey, Joe, love the content. This is the second stream I managed to catch. I always listen to you when I'm at work. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Wizard Loaf. Appreciate you. Hope work's going well for you. Thank you. Oh no, I'm not. See, if someone donates and I'm still reading, it's not because I'm trying to like forget their donation or anything like that. It's just that I only have my eyeballs can only be pointed in, one direction at a time. So never fear. Whenever I finally make a mistake, I will address all support, which I do appreciate. That super slowed Navi gives you chills. Good. I can cross my eyes. Yeah, duh. Oh yeah, Lo-Fi. I liked your music. I was taking a listen to it. And I thought it was kind of coincidental. I had asked if you had put some stuff up, and then read it. It seemed like that was kind of a burst of content that you had uploaded there, because I think it had been like a year prior to posting other stuff, so I'm happy that you got some stuff up. Hey, Box of Sorrows. That's a name I'd not seen for a while. Welcome back for 16 months. Been here since 2015, still loving this humpster. Thank you, Box of Sorrows. Good to see you. What's poppin'? You need independently moving eyeballs. Yeah, I need one eyeball, like a chameleon, going to the left for the stories, one on the chat, And I need like 2 mouths. Wouldn't that be weird if, like, as I was reading, all of a sudden you heard another voice just like mine responding to chat or something? That'd be a little creepy. Jacob with the 2 says, I have to go. I have to get up at 3 a.m. Take care. All right, Jacob. That's an early day there. Take care, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, yes, at the perfect time. Real glad you like the music. Thanks for checking it out, Joe. You're welcome, Lo-Fi. No problem. Chameleon eyes. SpongeBob reading the book meme, yeah. Dude, SpongeBob memes are so fucking funny. Like, ever since I heard that that one song, that opening song for Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd, and somebody said the screaming at the beginning of that song sounds like SpongeBob when he's like burning or like screaming. I was just like, holy shit, I'll never fucking forget that. Annie stayed quiet for a long time. Then when she finally spoke, she said that same heartwarming, what is it saying? She said that same heartwarming turned creepy thing of, oh, I see. Where do you get all the cool screensavers? My buddy Robin Mikalsen, who does all the thumbnails and other art for the channel, he made it in his lab. Annie stayed quiet for a long time. Then when she finally spoke, she said that same heartwarming, turned creepy kind of thing. I'm glad you're here tonight, Sarah. Thank you for sleeping over. I didn't sleep over at Annie's house again. I think she knew that her stepdad had kinda creeped me out that night, but we stayed friends for the remainder of elementary school, and she even came over to play for a few times during the summer after graduation. Sadly, our friendship was basically doomed because we were headed for different middle schools once summer break was over. We kept in touch for a little while, but by the end of that first year, we had all but drifted apart completely. Over the next 2 years or so, I saw Annie around town a number of times. We were always happy to see each other, but the final few times that we bumped into one another, Annie had started to look increasingly unwell. She didn't look like she was eating or sleeping very much, but insisted that she was fine when I asked her. I just wish that... Whoops. This channel's addictive. Good. It's gonna be how people transition off of Suboxone. Use Let's Read. Yeah, it is a sad story. If you have YouTube Premium, you can get streams in the corner of your phone screen like on Twitch. Are they that advanced yet? I always have to miss parts if I have to text somebody or something. Oh, I don't know. That would be nice if you could just like put it in the background, kind of like a normal video, but I'm not sure. I would assume that would work. It's hard to say. Jacob Holding with the 2 says, I have to go fight crime tomorrow. You know me. Oh yeah. I know you, Jacob. Blasting every weed head you come across with a big shotgun, automatic one. And Billy Joe, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. You don't have premium, you've been able to have the screen in the corner for months now. Oh, okay. Maybe they meant on their phone or something, I'm not sure. Did you see the Penguin trailer? No. Is it kind of like a serious one, kind of like the Joker or the Bat? I'm glad that DC is kind of going down that sort of like more realistic route, because it seems like it's really the only way to compete with Marvel is to try something completely different and not just copycat it. Anybody getting the anti-munchies lately when doing weeds? Like where you just don't want to eat? You just... Honestly, sometimes I get that way whenever I'm been schmoke-a-lokin'. I become like hyper aware of food, but to an extent that I don't want it. Yeah, it's the Penguin from the Batman movie, more serious, and is supposed to be kind of a Scarface type of story. Well, that seems fun. You seen The Mandalorian? I saw like the first season, and I haven't watched it since, but Not really too interested anymore. I saw Lizzo and Jack Black in it and like a screenshot, and I'm like, all right, we can see where this shit has gone. I don't know. Star Wars really fucking fell off, man. I mean, I get it. It got bought out by Disney, and that's just, once you get heavily corporated interests involved, it's like it loses that like sense of art that it once had. Even though I know Star Wars had like all sorts of varying energies to it, but I don't know. Just shit kind of becomes kind of corny eventually, and I don't care. And Wizard Loaf, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content, which if anybody is curious, there's a playlist for bonus content. We're up to 19 videos now, exclusive to anybody with a cool green name. Favorite movie? I don't really know, to be honest with you. What's wrong with Lizzo? Nothing's wrong with Lizzo. I just didn't expect to see her in fucking Star Wars, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, man. And I saw like the part where she was in it. It's not like, I mean, it just seemed, it just reminded me of like an SNL style like cameo, Jacob with the 2 says, anyway, take care, Joel. You rock, and I'll see you. See you, Jacob. Thank you again. Thank you for the 2. And Sophia Kinzinger, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. If you can force yourself to watch the prequels knowing Jar Jar is the big bad reveal and not Dooku, who was written in to replace him, they're actually amazing. That's what I always thought, because like, I mean, the whole Jar Jar being a Sith Lord thing, like, sure, well, that just goes to show you that like focus groups don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, sure, they might be a representation of the general public and all that kind of stuff and what the general public, might want, but it's not enough data to indicate what they actually want. Eventually, you just have to go based off of a director's fucking instinct, and it has to be very specific to what that director wants, you know what I mean? Like, and therefore, all of the blame can fall on the director whenever the film flops, and and then you don't have to sit there and like, well, guys, we better reevaluate things, and so I don't know. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like, the focus group kept Jar Jar from being the bad guy, but that was the initial vision, and it should have just stuck to that vision, because I mean, Jar Jar is the one that put essentially Palpatine in charge of the Senate or whatever the fuck, who then ordered Order 66 and all that other stuff. He became Darth Sidious and all that shit, but it is what it is. I don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, I realized to myself, I'm like, maybe as you get older, it's just not your place to like participate in pop culture. In many ways, it's kind of just like, maybe this is kind of pessimistic, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, maybe it's just not my place. Maybe you get older, and who gives a fuck about what you think about television shows or the direction of entertainment as a whole, especially pertaining to like series that you used to enjoy or related to, or felt that they were part of, like, I don't know, an overarching like cultural narrative or some shit. But like, maybe it's best to just move on to other things, like Joel, pessimist? No way. I'm just saying, maybe it's best to like just move on to other things, like move on to books or like series that have like a more concentrated and mature focus to it, rather than like, oh, how can we incorporate this in so we can make backpacks and fucking roller coasters with it? It's just like, at that point, you just got to realize, you're like, okay, I get it. This shit's for children. And even though I want to be a kid forever because I got Peter Pan syndrome or some shit, maybe it's best to just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I just wished her all the best, then carried on shopping for track shoes with my mom. About 4 months go by, and I don't hear or see anything of Annie, and then probably the most infamous crime in our town's recent history. I ran out of breath there. About 4 months go by, and I don't see or hear anything of Annie. And then, probably the most infamous crime in our town's recent history occurred. My mom broke the news to me, how a man had killed his wife, his kid, and then took his own life. Fuck. My mom broke the news to me, how a man had killed his wife, his kid, and then took his own life, before setting fire to the family home. I grew up in a really quiet mountain town, maybe only 3,000 people altogether, kind of a place where someone running a stoplight would... What? Oh, I see. I grew up in a real quiet mountain town, maybe only 3,000 people altogether, the kind of place where someone running a stoplight was gossip-worthy. Nothing ever happened there, so for something so awful to happen out of the blue, it rocked people to their very foundations. When Mom told me, I remember feeling awful for the wife and kid while wondering what the hell had gone so badly wrong in a man to make him something so unspeakable. But that wasn't the worst part. My mom knew who the family was. The kid that got killed was Annie, and her killer was her own stepfather. I was devastated, beyond devastated really, and it hit me harder because I felt like I'd known that he was bad. He acted all friendly and warm on the outside, but what I saw in Annie's room that night was a glimpse of a man he really was. Like I said, someone older might have been able to piece it together, but I just didn't have the emotional toolkit, so to speak, to do so, and in my mind, that meant Annie's death kind of felt partially my fault. I couldn't say that, though. I just bottled it all up, knowing that even if I had said something, nothing would have happened. It's not illegal to be a little strict or weird. That was my thinking anyway, but as I came to learn, that's not quite how the law works when it comes to kids. I should have said something. That's the moral of the story, really, and it's just as much a warning to others as it is a lesson to myself. If I'd have raised the alarm, even if it was voicing some minor concerns about the way Annie's stepdad acted with her at night, that would have gotten the ball rolling, meaning there was a good chance someone would have gotten around to asking him a few questions. And if that certain someone had been a 3-letter agency, and they'd looked through his computer and they'd found a Pandora's box of vile, indecent images. Let it go. Heavy metal crone with the tenses. Recently broke my hand and your content has been helping me get to sleep at night when the pain ramps up. Best medicine for this weary soul. I'm sorry about the hand situation. That freaking sucks. Yeah, I don't even know. I've had some various pains where shoulder pains and stuff when you're trying to sleep and it just will not let you fall asleep. So I'm really sorry about that. So I'm happy. And it's kind of crazy, isn't it? When you're sleeping, it's almost like you don't feel the pain, but then as soon as you become conscious, it's like the pain just suddenly floods back to that specific spot. Because I remember years ago when I told you about that night that I slept in the mountains and it was fucking in April and it dropped down to 20 or maybe even less than that. And I just remember falling asleep ever so briefly, but then kind of coming to, and all of a sudden the absolute freezing cold that was keeping me from falling asleep just zorped back into my body. Oh yeah, remember this shit? Can I read Alice in Wonderland? It's out of copyright. Interesting, maybe. Perhaps. Do I believe in the paranormal? I think so. It is hard to say what is what or what is anything, really. You would literally die if I could have you read Alice. Yeah, how long is that book? Is it pretty long? Why don't your streams appear in the live tab on YouTube channel? I think more people would know you stream if they appear there. Really? That's a little strange. Wonder why that would be. That's what I always thought, it would appear in the top corner, right? Or some shit. Do I not? Is there a place that you're supposed to, can somebody look that up and see if there's a place where you can, where you let people know or some shit? There's a current readout on YouTube and it was around a 4-hour read, so a 2-parter. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I probably would never do that. Yeah, I'm blacklisted. Maybe. I don't know. Who fucking knows anymore with shit? I probably say one thing that sounds abstract and like some algorithm's like, okay, shutting this down quickly. They're talking about the tab on your page. It used to let me know all the time. If you click share and copy the link, the algorithm shares the stream more. Like if you guys click share, or if I have to click share. Because I do share it on Twitter, but I do it through OBS's like shareable thing that links to the stream. Oh man, want to become a millionaire? I'll pay you to do it. Alright, yeah, that sounds good. It might be because the streams don't automatically save. Well, they do automatically save, but I always put them as unlisted on a playlist because I just find that if they're in the streams area, I mean, that's just what I've always done because they would always take up space on the normal thing, but then they changed that to a live stream tab. Huh. Everyone to the share button. You're the first little live circle on my subs tab. Okay, well maybe it does work for some people. Do I have a Twitter, Instagram? I do, yeah. Twitter is at Let's Read Creepy, and Instagram is at letsread.official. Funny, I've probably heard and know your voice more than friends and family. That's funny. I am everywhere, always. I bet Red Dead Redemption 2 and Yoda have some epic conversations on Dagobah. Yes, Dagobah. We'll get to Dagobah. Turn on notifications in your phone settings, YouTube app settings, turn on for subscriptions. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there is somewhere else to like, because anytime I've ever seen anybody live, it usually shows me in my subscriptions on the left side, but maybe it's hit or miss or something. No matter what, I always sound like Pooh. Oh, bother. Oh, we must get to the Dagobah system. And if that certain someone had been a 3-letter agency, and they'd looked through his computer, they'd have found a Pandora's box of vile, indecent images. Annie's stepdad was abusing her. He had been for years, and he's been documenting it too. Neighbors heard a whole bunch of shouting just before the murders and were right about to call the sheriff when they heard the first few shots. They said it sounded... They said it sounded vicious, the argument, I mean, and that they were pretty sure someone was smashing things in between yells. It's not 100% clear, but people generally agree that the fight occurred after Annie's mom found the pictures or videos or whatever it was on her husband's computer. The way I imagine it is that all the smashing was either him smashing phones or him trying to stop Annie's mom from getting to one so she could call the cops. Then, when Annie's stepdad realized that there was nothing he could do or say to get Annie's mom to stop or calm down, he grabbed his gun and shot her. Oops, that's... Jesus, dude, this is like a heavy one right out the fucking gate. Boy, come here, boy. The constant switch up between conversation and reading reminds me of ADHD. This is the best. Yeah. People have said that I've been infected with ADHD. They injected it into me when I was born. Then, when Annie's stepdad realized that there was nothing he could do or say to get Annie's mom to stop or calm down, he grabbed his gun and shot her, Annie, and then himself, after trying to destroy the evidence. He probably would have been successful if their neighbors hadn't heard the gunshots, because the cops that arrived on scene quickly summoned the fire department, who put out the blaze and preserved all the digital evidence in the process. The whole thing didn't come out for months and months afterwards, which I guess was a deliberate decision to try to keep people from freaking out too hard. But all it really did was divide all the grief and outrage into two parts. Hearing that Annie was being abused reignited the whole thing and had this big black cloud hanging over the town that never really went away. Me and my own family ended up moving out of town about 2 years later, and I did my final couple years of high school someplace else. When people figured out where I'd moved from, they kept asking if I'd known the girl who had been murdered by her stepdad. I used to lie and tell them I didn't, but every time they asked, I'd have to find an excuse to take a quiet moment in order to fight back the tears. I felt horrifically guilty for a long, long time, too, and it took a therapist to get me to understand that it wasn't my fault. But even so, I know there's a small part of me that will always feel partially responsible. It's all just a case of keeping that part's voice, the one that tells me it's all my fault, as quiet as possible. Oh yeah, go follow Let's Read Clips. I can link it in the chat here. Basically, Let's Read Clips is just solo. Whoops. I guess it doesn't have its own custom URL yet. Let's Read Clips. There it is. Boing. Oh wait. Fry's already on top of it. He's a god amongst gentlemen. But basically it's just solo stories turned into like solo videos. And I feel like my thought process is like maybe some of those will kind of reach a new audience or maybe like pop off individually, and or maybe people will just enjoy kind of consuming content on a smaller clip related basis. Dan KP, hey, why would you work out and go through the painful lifting when you will lose the size one day when you could have been healthy anyway? I don't think that line of reasoning makes any sense, you know what I mean? Because the lifting is actually, you know, supposed to, or like you're almost implying that like the lifting at one point will make me unhealthy or something, or that. And basically, it's like you're creating a foundation for your future of participating in, like, you know, working out and that kind of thing. If I were to not work out and just, like, maintain, you know, a conventional diet, I would probably not be... I don't really understand what you're trying to say. I'm sorry. I think you've asked that question before, like, in previous streams. I remember you. And I don't really know how to explain to you that, like, you know, you work out to create that foundation so that when you get older, you can continue to do things and hopefully continue to, like, participate in some degrees of working out longer than most people. I don't know. It's hard to reason whenever the premise of the argument doesn't really make sense in the first place. Does that mean you were planking for 3 minutes and 15 seconds? Yeah. Yeah, and that means this one would be 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which I don't even know. If that 3 minutes and 15 seconds was fucking hard as shit, to be honest with you. Yeah, you live longer when you work out. It's pretty basic. If you avoid working out or whatever. It's not like I kill myself in the gym or like I don't take steroids or anything crazy or, you know, I try to eat healthy. It's not like I push myself to like destruction. Working out builds strong bones for the future as well. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that kind of like pessimistic attitude of like why work out in the first place if you're just going to be old or something is kind of like saying why even live if you're just going to die, you know? It's not so much about like the end game as it is just existing in that moment and challenging yourself to do what you can do. And yeah, if you're lifting and it's painful, you're probably doing it wrong. I don't put myself through pain. I mean, it can be strenuous at times, but it definitely isn't like, you know, I'm like, ow, ow, ow. You can live to 100 training through hard pain and live to 100 healthy without the pain, then why do it? Because it feels good. It sounds like you've never worked out before, so I don't think you understand how good it feels to be more confident with more muscle, to be, I don't know, be proud of what you've done and work towards, to finish a workout and just feel like you've challenged your body to an extent that, you know, your body releases a lot of endorphins while you're working out too. So it just feels good. You know, I think people are just in a happier, healthier state of life when they incorporate some sort of exercise. You do it for the girls, exactly. Why eat if you're going to be hungry tomorrow, huh? Yeah, good point. Good point. What's my PR deadlift? Actually, just last week I hit my PR deadlift and I hit 500 pounds. I was really excited about that. And it was funny because then I stumbled across like these people on YouTube that do powerlifting meets, and they're like probably only like 235 pounds, 245 pounds, like, you know, pretty average build, somewhere between like 5'10" and 6 foot. And dude, the guy, I think his name was like Shane Hunt, and he was like deadlifting close to like 950 pounds. And then this other guy, I forget his name, but he did like 1,033 pounds. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jesus fucking Christ. It's just like, that's crazy, man. I mean, granted, I've heard people say that it's pretty clear that they're on, you know, performance enhancing drugs, but, you know, at the same time, you know, how many reps for 500? Just one rep. It was a PR. How much do you have to work out a day, Joe? I mean, I just do I do Monday through Friday, and I'm just on a regiment of like basically Monday is bench day, or no, Monday's bench day, Tuesday's deadlift, Wednesday's power clean and cardio, Thursday today was overhead press, and then tomorrow will be squat. But then after I do the power lifts, I'll incorporate a bunch of like bodybuilding stuff. Do I use creatine? I do use creatine, yeah. I recently incorporated that, and I do find that it helps. Working out is addicting. It is addicting, yeah. Our bodies are meant for physical labor, but also read a book to keep your brain healthy too. Exactly, yeah. It's good to be a well-rounded human being, and once a day, yeah, you know, it's just usually takes about an hour to 2 hours to do. And granted, I understand that I have more free time since YouTube is like my thing, but I think there's a lot of people I know who fucking, you know, get up at 5 a.m. every day and go to their job and strenuously do that, and then they fucking, you know, work out in the evening. You know, they manage, you know, all their kids' lives and their family life. You know, they do so much more than I do, and they still make it happen. What other subs do I use? You know, nothing too crazy, just multivitamin stuff. And recently I just been eating a lot of, like tonight, I ate steak and eggs. That was my deal. Just trying, you know, kind of basically lately just been eating like meat and fruit, because I've heard that red meat and eggs helps to kind of maintain your testosterone at higher levels. Do I remember you from other streams? Reem, I think so, yeah. Do I take BCAs? It's funny, yeah, the guy that I work out with, he actually will make me a BCA drink during the workout. I mean, I don't know if it helps or not, but do I use any synergistic combinations? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. No veggies. Yeah, no veggies really lately. I mean, I'll incorporate some of them into my, like, if I make the ground beef stir fry lately, but I've been hearing like mixed things pertaining to veggies that aren't cooked, where there are certain things in vegetables that have like defense chemicals within them that kind of create inflammation within your body, which I guess makes some sense, but I don't know I don't want to I don't know fully the science pertaining to like uncooked vegetables and defense chemicals that exist within it. But I don't know, I've just been enjoying, because I fucking love berries and I love meat, you know, and it's like, I don't know, it just tastes good and I don't feel inflamed or anything. And getting back into it after 6 years of not lifting, hope it comes back fast. It should surprisingly come back quickly, because you know, the memory within the cells is there. Sadly, in a similar fashion, if you've developed a lot of adipose tissue prior as well, like fat tissue, even if you lost it, that comes back pretty quick too, because it's just basically filling a balloon back up. So I don't know. That's why I always thought if I have kids, I'm gonna like try so hard to like make sure that they don't become obese as children, because it's such a difficult thing to overcome. Like, you know what I mean? For a lot of people, like both mentally as far as your confidence goes, but also like later on in life when your like maybe you go through your glow up, you know what I mean, in your late teens, early 20s, but then it's just easy to get that fat back, sadly, whenever you have already established it, kind of thing. Meat, organs, and fruit is ideal for me. That's cool. You're still overcoming childhood obesity? Yeah, you know, it's just, I remember the big glow up. Like for me, I was a pretty big kid. I mean, and the worst part is like being a big kid who ate a lot of sugar as I was little, you know, because, you know, nobody ever really stopped me. Nobody was like, hey, don't eat fucking ice cream or in cereal and, you know, every other piece of sugar that's in the cabinet, you know, 24/7. It was just like there was no criticism, no like, you know, hey, don't do that, or controlling, you know. But anyways, but then that led to me like playing football, but I played on the line, you know, offensive line. And I feel like being an offensive line character within your childhood development is kind of a bad thing, because it sort of encourages you to be a bigger person, to, you know, for pushing people around and stuff. But it is kind of interesting. I remember all the people in football growing up, like after they finished their, you know, football career of being on the line, within like a year or two, like all of them like lose like 50 pounds. It's kind of awesome. Is childhood obesity bad in America then? I know it is for adults. Oh yeah, it's real bad. It's fucking rampant everywhere. I mean, like all of our foods just have high fructose, you know, processed sugars in them and shit like that. And, you know, I think my biggest issue was like soda. You know, my parents just let me drink like 6+ sodas a day with full sugar, you know, and I remember hearing if you drank that, maybe even more, I remember hearing if you drank that, you could be putting on like close to a pound or more a week in just sugar calories and stuff. And Michelle Obama tried to help. She certainly did. Didn't do a good job though. We need to bring her back. She needs to go into every chubby kid's room and squeeze their little cheeks. Tell them no more donuts. You invest a lot of money in your health. That's good, you know what I mean? It's really all you got at the end of the day is your body. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like I think like fasting is kind of one of those things that people don't really look into, but it's a natural state for humans to have at least 24-hour fasts or like intermittent fasting processes, because, you know, the more, because we're learning more and more about our endocrine systems as time goes on, and there is a strong correlation between like you know, fasting and insulin resistance, and, you know, the presence of insulin and insulin resistance and obesity, and then obviously obesity being connected to every fucking disease under the sun. You kicked soda 4 years ago. It's so much better than your emotional health. Yeah, even for me, I recently was drinking diet soda a lot, but I've recently kind of just been trying to have some kombucha here and there, which kind of basically fulfills that sort of sweet sense with that fizzy drink, you know, vibe, and it's supposedly good for your gut health, so we'll see. I seriously never feel full. I wonder if there's going to be a term for that. No, my metabolism isn't fast. Yeah, I mean, there is correlation between like eating a lot of like carbohydrates and man, I remember hearing about it recently, but there's a sort of hormonal process that occurs that convinces us not too long later that we want more food. So foods that actually do sort of satiate you and make you feel full tend to be protein related or fat oriented, you know, and by fat I mean lipids. Yeah, like you basically like healthy fats like avocado and nuts, things like that, and then with protein, you know, obviously like meats, red meats, chicken, eggs. Carbs are delicious, though. They certainly are. Yeah, I think those are programmed to make us, is it leptin resistant? Oh, or is that what it is? I remember hearing of leptin or something like that. Can I ask, what is your name? My name's Joel or Joel, whatever you want to say. Low calorie dense foods. That's the cool thing about mixed berries that I've been having recently is, you got blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries. They're fucking delicious, right? And you can, they take up a lot of space in the fiber in your stomach, and they're actually pretty low carb, pretty low calorie. Like, I'm pretty sure like a half pound of them is like only 120 calories or something like that. Leptin resistance. I'm not sure about that one. Eating but not getting full. Leptin resistance. Okay, interesting. You're fasting for 30 days, Sabir? Like, or do you eat at the end of the day for Ramadan, or is it a full 30? Mulberries, those go hard. I don't think I've ever had mulberries. It sounds good. I remember Mulberry Lane. You live in Greece where everything is made with 100 liters of olive oil. That's true, that's true. You gotta be careful. Okay. Don't die of electrolyte imbalance. No, for sure. That's something to always take into consideration, too. Okay. Way back when I was still a freshman in high school, my friend Tommy invited me and a mutual friend over for a weekend-long sleepover. His parents were divorced, but this was the mid-90s, so almost nobody's parents were divorced or probably serious. Wait, almost. Oh, everybody's. Why did I say nobody's? Also, let me turn off this light. I thought I had it off. Smoke with you? That'd be kind of fun to smoke on my birthday as well. Man, I would be... Well, the only thing is if I drank on my birthday and smoked, I would probably get the spins and projectile vomit all over the microphone, which you guys probably wouldn't really enjoy. I mean, you might enjoy it, but if we're thinking long term, like all night. Snozberries, yeah, we need more snozberries. His parents were divorced, but this was the mid-90s, so almost everybody's parents were divorced or probably seriously considering it. We were sad for him, sure, but then we learned about the other less detrimental stuff, and we stopped feeling so sorry for him. I'm talking the whole 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays thing, on top of having almost total freedom due to his newly acquired latchkey kid status. We were in our early teens, but Tommy's mom treated us like adults in a lot of ways. She let us stay up all night and order whatever food we wanted, all with the logic of, if you want to sleep all day after eating yourself sick, that's your problem, not mine. I guess that makes her sound like a bad mom in some ways, but I can assure you that she wasn't. Tommy was always a good kid, and although she worked long hours at whatever job she had, Tommy's mom loved and took care of him. The sleepover was planned for a Friday night, so me and the other kid brought a change of clothes and whatnot into school with us. That day, we could just head back to Tommy's place, or that way, Jesus. I'm seeing words that don't exist. They don't exist. Elderberry's good for you. I've heard of elderberry. I don't really know much about it. I will live vicariously through you all. I can't smoke. I'm allergic to anything marijuana and hemp. Interesting. That way, we could just head back to Tommy's place when the bell rang. Tommy's mom was there to meet us, but she had to head into work almost right away, so after leaving some money on the kitchen table for us to order pizza with, she headed out. We had the entire place to ourselves, with Tommy's mom not due home until maybe the early hours of the next morning. It was mild. Alcohol makes me feel all mad and horny. It's a problem, not for me, but everyone else. Only drugs for me. Yeah, we don't want any charges. We had the entire place to ourselves, with Tommy's mom not due back until the early hours of the next morning. And it was wild, man. Total freedom, but being the good kid that he was, Tommy stopped us from getting too crazy. We threw a football around in his backyard for a while, and in all fairness, we did get pretty rowdy out there. So when we went back inside and quickly heard a knock at the front door, we figured that it might be the neighbors coming over to tell us to keep it down. Tommy had this attitude of, "I'll handle it," and told us to stay put while he went to talk our way out. Tommy had this attitude of, "I'll handle it," and told us to stay put while he went to talk our way out of trouble. God, this sentence confuses the fuck out of me. Tommy had this attitude of, "I'll handle it," and told us to stay put while he went to talk our way out of trouble. Me and our mutual friend, shout out to Casey, did as we were told and kept quiet in Tommy's kitchen while he worked his magic. But when he came back, the look on his face didn't fill us with confidence. We asked him what happened, and he told us it wasn't one of his neighbors at the door. It had been a friend of his dad's. I didn't piece together why that might have bothered him so much, and he looked really anxious when he reappeared. So out of sheer ignorance, I asked him why that might be a problem. And Tommy sighed, took a seat at the kitchen table, and then explained the situation with his dad. To keep it short and not so sweet, to use Tommy's exact words, quote, "My dad is a psycho, and so is his friends." He told us a bunch of stories about how horribly his dad had acted towards him and his mom, and the whole time, mine and Casey's jaws are just glued to the freaking floor. He used to hit him a bunch. He was always had a bunch. He used to hit him a bunch, and he always had a bunch of guns in the house. He used drugs right in front of a much younger Tommy like I wasn't even nothing, he would say. Real bad stuff. I think he must have been one of those guys who keeps insisting that they can change, then just going back to their old behaviors, because Tommy's mom lasted a good few years after he was born before he finally got them out of there and somewhere got the marriage dissolved. Fuck, man. I think he must have been one of those guys who keeps insisting that they can change, then just going back to their old behaviors, because Tommy's mom lasted a good few years after he was born before he finally got them out of there and somehow got the marriage dissolved. Me and Casey had no idea Tommy's childhood had been so crazy. I mean, we'd only known each other for a matter of months by that point, so it was all this horrifying revelation to us, and obviously something Tommy didn't want to share unless he really had to. And now, he had to. But then, he got to explaining why the appearance of his dad's friend had him so spooked. First off, his dad always had a lot of different dudes coming by the house, all claiming to be his friend. So even if Tommy had been able to see the guy's face, he still might not have recognized him at all. And yup, that's how Tommy dropped that guy. What? And that's how Tommy dropped that the guy had his face covered. Oh, okay. Sleepover! Use a plant-based sweetener, Truvia, stevia. Yeah, I'm curious about, like, I have some stevia stuff. I also have monk fruit stuff. And I was just curious, like, to what extent those things, because some of those sweeteners, like, aspartame, supposedly, I don't know, gives you dementia or some shit, or makes you have cancer or something, I don't know. And then various other ones, I don't know, I just hear they're really bad for your gut health. Silent Sniper 19, Ben, welcome back for 8 months. Says, hey Joel, been a while since I've caught a live stream. Thanks for the great content. Hope everyone is doing well. Ben, yeah, good to see you, Ben. It has been a while. What's poppin'? We've had a few Familiar faces pop in tonight. Would you rather have diabetes and cancer or just cancer? Well, I feel like there's a correlation between the two. If you develop diabetes and then end up getting cancer after that from just, I don't know. I guess the best cancer to get as a guy is nut cancer, because then it can be addressed quickly and usually no resurgence elsewhere. Can you choose neither? You can choose neither. You're telling you guys, Boca Sweet. What's Boca Sweet? Yeah, diabetes and cancer, shaking hands. Hello there, nice to meet you. How about we destroy this host? And yep, that's how Tommy dropped the... What is this saying? That's how Tommy dropped. Like he said? Mammy Kitten with a 20 says, hubby said I could buy a birthday twerk. It's Saturday. Shake it, Joel. Shit. I feel bad. I can twerk for you either way, but 20 is not the twerkable amount, but I'm doing it. But Mammy, thank you for the 20. I appreciate it. Thank you. Birthday twerk. Or birthday silent twerk. Drop the music. And yep, that's how Tommy dropped that the guy had his face covered right there in the middle of his frantic explanation. And both me and Casey were both like, what do you mean he has his face covered? And as we started to get panicky, Tom got even more agitated and then insisted that we call the cops and his mom in that order. He'd let slip to the mystery caller, whose face had apparently been partially concealed with a scarf or something, that we were home alone that night, which in turn meant that we might well be in a whole heap of trouble. Tommy's dad had been refused any chance to see him for a few years by that time and had been trying out increasingly creative ways of circumventing the court's decision. Tommy figured that the surprise appearance might be just that, some fresh new attempt to ruin his mom's fresh start. So like she'd always taught him to do, Tommy rushed to call 911 at the first sign of danger. I feel that at this point I should make it clear that no one had any idea that Tommy's dad would try anything like that. In fact, he supposedly didn't even know where Tommy and his mom had moved to. But as I came to learn much later in life, his dad was way richer and way more powerful than I ever could have imagined at the time. Sorbitol in particular does it really bad. What does it do? Also, the raw honey can't be heated. But as I came to learn much later in life, his dad was way richer and way more powerful than I ever could have imagined at the time. He wasn't just some rich businessman or something. He was high up in the Kansas City. He wasn't just some rich businessman or something. He was high up in the Kansas City Mafia. Running from anyone else might have worked, but with a guy like that, finding them as I see. Running from anyone else might have worked, but with a guy like that, finding them was just a matter of time. Just a matter of twerkable time. Mammy Kitten with the 30 big ones equaling 50, which Thank you so much for that. Better. I guess it is better. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have the notification thing set to 30 for twerkable amounts. But Mammy, I do really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. And I wish you a fantastic and amazing B-Day. This is his voice 24/7. First stream, I thought he used this for reading. Damn, son. This is your first stream, even though you have a green... Oh, I guess you did. Yeah, but just become a member. Interesting. Well, I'm glad you can be here. Just heard those thunderclaps again all the way here down in Virginia. Is there a storm outside? No. Someone just donated $30 to Joel. Oh my God. Running from anyone else might have worked, but with a guy like that, finding them was just a matter of time. And it just so happened that when that moment came, me and good old Casey had to endure it too. By the time Tommy had explained the potential danger, we were all in a state of full-blown panic. I didn't think that I could get any more scared, but after we rushed to the phone and tried to call 911, things got way worse. Tommy picked up the phone, put it to his ear, and then hammered 911 into the keypad. Then he did it again. Then he hung up the phone, picked it up again, and after holding it to his ear for a second, stammered out, "The phone is dead." Now, if this had just happened... Sorry. Did you ever see something sort of in your periphery, but it's close? I thought there was a fucking bug on my mic or some shit. I would have freaked out. Lovely Tea with the 10 says, thank you to Joel and my Buttersock family for being super supportive. Can we please rock out to the steel drum later? Y'all stay moist. Yeah, I guess we could do that. Maybe we could take a break from fucking planks. Do a little steel drum action. We can alternate back and forth so I don't get a hernia. But thank you, Lovely Tea, for the 10. Just be sure to remind me at the end of the stram. And Hannah Grapes, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. What if you ate every bug you saw? What if? You'll plank while I drum? Perfect. We'll drum for 3 minutes and 30 seconds to get the full experience. It'll be a war drum. Miss Molly, welcome back for 39 months. Miss Molly, do you see your badge? It is new. It's new. It's an ascended astronaut man. Joel, my love, I get my tattoo on Saturday. Also, how are you doing? I'm doing good. What kind of tattoo is you getting? Every time Joel twerks, I get a hernia. You gotta twerk the hernia back into place. Your drum is so dreamy. Your dog eats every bug he sees. That'd be kind of cool. Dogs get that extra protein. Boneless content, yeah. I send everybody a case of boneless wings. Alright. By the time Tommy had explained the potential danger, we were all in a state of full-blown panic. I didn't think that it could get any more... Why am I fucking struggling so hard? I didn't think that I could get any more scared, but after we rushed to the phone and tried... I didn't think that I could get any more scared, but after we rushed to the phone and tried to call 911, things got way worse. Tommy picked up the phone and put it to his ear, then hammered 911 into the keypad. Then he did it again. And then he hung up the phone, picked it up again, and after holding it to his ear for a second, stammered out, "The phone's dead." Now, if this had happened just a few years later, the phone being dead wouldn't have been a problem. We'd have just used a cell phone to call the cops, and that would have been it. But we didn't have cell phones, and whoever had sabotaged the home's phone cables knew that we had no other means of contacting authorities. Then, right as we're about to totally lose our minds, we heard this huge smashing sound coming from the front door. Someone was trying to break in. Tommy didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The look on his face said it all. He ran out into his backyard with me and Casey in hot pursuit. We followed him into the woods behind his house, then just ran and ran and ran until we couldn't run anymore. Luckily, we were maybe only a minute or twos. You got the runner's high. I snorted a bag of heroin, then ran from the police. There you go. That's how you really achieve it. Luckily, we were maybe only a minute or two walk from a collection of houses, so after knocking on their doors until we found someone that was home, we got them to call the cops for us, and we finally got a chance to calm down. By the time the cops showed up, Tommy's house was empty again, but the whole place had been trashed, probably in an attempt to find Tommy. His mom came home from work early and was talking to the cops while me and Casey waited for our parents to come get us. The adrenaline high had completely worn off by then, and I remember feeling really tired after it finally sunk in that we were going to be okay. As it turned out, the two guys who showed up to abduct Tommy were picked up by the cops as they attempted to leave town. The craziest thing was, if the sheriff hadn't received another call about a guy threatening a waitress after she got his order wrong, Tommy's potential kidnappers might have escaped completely. You heard that right. There were two guys that showed up that night. The two guys could have gotten the hell out of Dodge before anyone really knew what happened, but instead, they stopped for food at some all-night diner. Then one of them brandished some steak knife at a girl, and well, the rest is history. Apparently, the two guys Tommy's dad hired weren't actually members of the Kansas City Mafia, as he didn't want his father and uncle, who were even higher up than he was, knowing about the kidnapping. And this gave him a kind of plausible deniability. But the $50,000 he'd promised each of the guys wasn't nearly enough to buy their silence, and they rolled over almost as soon as they were arrested. The local PD were only too happy to pursue a kidnapping charge, and when all was said and done, Tommy's dad ended up doing close to 10 years on some kind of conspiracy to kidnap charge, as well as a few others thrown in to beef up the sentence. I don't talk to Tommy much these days, although we are still Facebook friends. I like knowing that I can reach out if I wanted to, knowing that he'll always be an integral part of the single craziest and scariest story of my childhood. I guess that's always a possible solution to a situation if all is not going right, just run away. Literally just run. Parkinson, sha. You had an AMP exam. Interesting. You missed two sick, nasty stories as we go on to story numero 30. Oh, wait. Oh, it's a true crime story. Interesting. We can... wait. Yeah. Looks like we had to fill in with two true crime stories here. Hey, dude. So I know this sucks and makes it sound like I'm just making this up, but I don't want to name anyone here. I watch a lot of your videos and sometimes either too much or not enough detail makes me wonder if a story is fake, but now that I come to actually write my own story up, I kind of see why people sometimes want to remain anonymous. The kid I'm about to tell you about might have grown up or turned himself around and doesn't deserve people to know about some dumb, isolated incident when he was just young. But then again, if he's still as much of a psycho as he was back then, I don't want to risk becoming the object of his attention. So back when I was a kid, I went to the sleepover with a bunch of friends from middle school. I say friends, but it was pretty loose association, to be honest with you. For example, one of the kids that got an invite actually didn't get along with the kid that was hosting. But if he didn't get an invite, he'd feel left out, and if he felt left out, the kid's mom would make it an issue, and so on and so forth. So he ended up getting one way. So he ended up getting one anyway, and this is the kid I want to tell you about right here. Inevitably, the two kids who didn't get along ended up clashing. Not in a physical way, but the tension ramped up. Not in a physical way, but the tension ramped up pretty quick, and the weird kid who got the forced invite ended up storming off. The host kid's parents had quite a big place, so the weird kid basically disappeared for a while, and there was no watching us aside from a baby. Man, what the fuck? And there was no one watching us aside from a babysitter who wasn't really watching us at all, to be honest. The only other person aside from us and the babysitter was the host kid's little sister, but she'd been put to bed much earlier than us, so we didn't see her past maybe 7:30 p.m. So the weird kid is gone for a while, but then he suddenly reappears, all sheepish looking, telling us that he thinks we need to call 911. Someone was in the bathroom and they sounded sick. We go to investigate, and on the floor of the bathroom is the host kid's little sister with a bunch of puke all around her and an empty bottle of pills lying there too. The rest of the night is kind of a blur, and obviously our parents ended up getting called so they could come pick us up, but I swear to God, there was a moment during all that chaos where I caught the weird kid smiling to himself. It was around the time that the host's little sister was being loaded into the ambulance, and I don't think the kid knew anyone was looking at him, but I saw this real distinct smile on his face. And that's when I realized that the girl swallowing pills hadn't been some freak accident. She hadn't thought that they were candy at all. The weird kid. What? Oh. You love your Xbox, you'll never stop gaming. Never stop gaming. Ever. Get a shirt that says that. I'll never stop gaming. And it's like also a picture of you below it with sunglasses on with like finger guns going pew, pew, pew. And like lasers are coming out of the finger guns. Pew. That'd be so fucking cool. That'd be the coolest shirt ever to wear to day one, 6th grade. Everyone would fucking shit their pants. Gamers are lame? What the fuck? What? How absolutely dare you? I'm shaking and shitting my pants right now from you saying that. I don't feel safe with someone filled with so much hate in their heart being in my chat. Does anyone here play Stardew Valley? I played a little bit of Stardew Valley one time, but I got kind of bored. She hadn't thought that they were candy at all. The weird kid had gotten her to swallow them somehow. I told my mom and dad what I'd seen and what I thought, and it caused a ton of drama with all the various parents. The weird kid totally denied it and said he's been crying in a dark bedroom because we'd been picking on him. The little monster even taunted us with his motivations Yeah, people always ask, how many books have you read to see how smart you are, but never how many simulations have you gone through? Exactly. Do you know how many times I've played Grand Theft Auto or Burnout Paradise, making me into one of the best drivers IRL that to ever fucking exist? And should I ever come across a position in which I need to be, you know, a gold miner, my 10 hours that I have in Minecraft will probably manifest subconsciously. You just played the new game Ghostwire? Oh yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo. How is that? You're a gamer, I love you. Oh, okay, good. Phew, I was worried. I was so worried I was snurried. The little monster even taunted us with his motivations while simultaneously denying it. The whole thing broke up our little friend group, and as our parents basically wouldn't allow us to hang out anymore, and the weird kid and his family left town a few years later, something that everyone and their dog was happy about. There were no consequences for the kid either, or his family, except for the social ones, and I sometimes wonder if he's still the same kind of person these days. I've even Googled his name a while back, but nothing came up, and that got me thinking though. He didn't get caught the first time. Dude, I'm confused. What the fuck even happened in this story? Some chick took some pills? GTA 6 comes out in 10 years. Yippee! Yep. Yippee! That got me thinking though. He didn't get caught the first time, and if something like that happens when you're a kid, that's gotta embolden a person, right? He knew how to talk his way out of trouble, and he was good at it. So to me, there's no reason why I shouldn't assume that he's still out there, doing the same evil crap, and getting away with it all the while. P.S. The host kid's sister turned out to be fine. Sooner than 10, I'd say, because of the massive leak that happened. Yeah. I feel kind of bad because, I mean, I know, like, it didn't look very good, but at the same time, like, I know it's probably still very early on in its, development cycle. The thing that I get excited about new Grand Theft Auto games and that kind of thing is, like, just all the new technologies that they implement into those types of games, that and like Red Dead Redemption 2, like it always feels like there's like you always kind of like, it's guaranteed with Rockstar games that there's going to be some type of advancement forward in the video game realm, like technically speaking. But I kind of feel like with video games, I don't know, I haven't really played any video games recently that make me feel like things are really moving forward to that like next generation vibe. Now granted, like I remember when that Red Dead Redemption 2 or even the more recent like Resident Evil 2 remake, when that came out, that was kind of a sick, because I felt like there was like a lot of cool dismemberment, a lot of interesting physics to think. I don't know, it felt like, the graphics were sick. Wizard Loaf with the 5 says, hey Joel, heading to bed, gotta get up for work, enjoy the stream, bye. Hey Wizard Loaf, take care. Thanks for being here, my friend, and thank you. Sleep well. We'll see you next time. AI is always there, especially in Unreal. Oh, Unreal Engine. Does your farts have COVID? Probably. It's how it all started, was one big stinky fart. Horror on the Rocks of the 2 says, tried Pokemon Fusions yet? Best one, hands down. Pokemon Fusions? Let me watch the trailer. Pokemon Fusions. This game makes you fuse Pokemon. Oh, it's a fan-made game. So I assume like every Pokemon is like preemptively. Oh my god. Holy shit, it's a Weezing mixed with a Rattata. That's actually pretty unique. That's cool. That's a lot of various combinations of fucking Pokemon. 3K to go to 1 million. I know we are getting ever so close. Let's look at the YouTube studio real quick just to see where we're at. Also, I was kind of worried that the Reddit stories video wasn't going to do well, but it actually did pretty decent. Because I always get worried like you guys are going to get mad that a video is not like over 40 minutes or at least 50 minutes long, just because I'm so used to putting that out. What is Red Dead 2? Was swearing the whole movie and we only hear the noise like SpongeBob and the dolphin noises? What? What are you saying? Silent ones always smell the worst. Why is that? What the heck's up with that? I gotta run to the bathroom though. I'm very sorry. But I will be right back. Please, please don't leave. Don't leave. I'm back. Rockstar release a Red Dead Undead Nightmare 2 challenge. Wait, did they? Or you're just asking them to? Rockstar thinks DLC stands for do less content. Yeah, I think the weird thing about Rockstar is I don't know who they are. You know what I mean? Like, there's just like this strong sense of just absolute disconnect from like their audience and the developers. Like, they seem like they just like make a content, make sure it's good, and then just like step back away and have like a skeleton crew who's just like a bunch of like, you know, monkeys in a fucking bunker somewhere that you never get to meet. Vincent, with everything come out. Okay, yep, we are in the clear. Clear for a schmear. Check out the trailer for a game called Ill. Oh yeah, dude, I actually, the artist that was working on that, I got to talk to him actually on Instagram a few times, and his art is really, really good. And I'm curious, I am really curious if what the vision that they have for it is going to come to fruition. I really hope it does, because I mean, the idea of having like, I don't know, ultra realistic physics in that sense, like I'm not exactly sure what the technical terms were, but it basically was like ultra realistic, like meshing, like that, like destruction of the body and like interesting concepts. I feel like the word meshing was in there somewhere, but it looks pretty dope. I missed a gift from Micah. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Oh, Micah Washington with a 5 says, hi, Michael. Hello, Micah. Sorry, I missed your donation earlier. And Horror on the Rocks, thank you again for the 2. Pokemon Fusion does look dope. Alright, thank you, my friends. Ever tried VR? I do, yeah. VR is wild. Even like the most simplistic game can feel very immersive in VR. My only issue is like when I play it by myself, I just feel like, I don't know, it just feels strange. Like I need people around to like watch me do it for some reason. I missed one from Vincent. Wait, did I? Or no, yeah, I got Vincent. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Sweet. Thank you guys again. Take you to the poo room next time. Thankfully, it was just a bit of a hose, bit of a fire hose situation. All right, these next ones, I believe, are true crime related. In March of 1997, 3-year-old Cody Stepp was living with his aunt Mikey on Hosak Street in the Hungarian Village area of Cologne. Okay. In March of 1997, 3-year-old Cody Stepp was living with his aunt Mickey on Hosak Street in the Hungarian Village area of Columbus, Ohio. During the late 90s, Columbus was one of the safest cities in the entirety of the Midwest. Yet there were still areas of the city that were considered no-go zones after dark, with vicinity of Hosak Street being one of them. Cody had been living with his aunt since December of 1996, after his mother's struggle with drug addiction inevitably landed her in jail. Robin Stepp had a long history of theft and selling her body, but managed to take relatively good care of Cody, with her only shortcoming being minor neglect. It was accepted among the Stepp family that Cody would be returned to Robin's custody as soon as it were legally possible. But on March 11th of 1997, a dark fate chose to intervene. It was just after 7 p.m. on a Tuesday when Aunt Mickey took a quick visit to a nearby corner store. She left Cody playing in her home's front yard, but due to a miscommunication with Cody's grandmother, no one was watching the boy during Mickey's trip to the store. She was gone for no longer than 15 to 20 minutes, but when she returned, Cody was gone. Aunt Mickey immediately reported Cody missing, and in her mind, the timing couldn't have been any worse. Cody's mother was scheduled for release the following day, and when she learned of her son's disappearance, she was furious. As police helicopters circled the city and canine officers ran their dogs through nearby fields and wooded areas, Cody's mother all but accused her sister of manufacturing her son's disappearance. In her opinion, the timing was no coincidence, and she believed that there was a concerted effort to keep her away from her son. It was a heartbreaking situation, and the Stepp family begged local law enforcement to bring Cody home. The FBI became involved almost immediately, with the Columbus Police Department sparing no expense in organizing one of the largest search efforts in the state's history. Patrol officers were reassigned to canvass entire neighborhoods, while all investigations into financial crimes were suspended, allowing the relevant detectives to dedicate themselves to the search for Cody. Even recruits at the CPD's training facility were requisitioned? MT with the 2. Joel Udabomb. Thank you, MT. Udabomb. Requisitioned. Some of them scouring the banks of the nearby Scioto River. Scioto. Wait, what? Scioto. Interesting. I've gotten any stories about hidden doors, secret rooms being discovered. I feel like I have, just like in various stories. I feel like there was one about somebody moving into an apartment or something and finding a weird door hidden away or something. Even recruits at the CPD's training facility were requisitioned for the Even recruits at the CPD's training facility were requisitioned for the effort, with many of them scouring the banks of the nearby Scioto River. While Cody's disappearance had initially been treated as a standard child abduction, one detective refused to rule out the possibility that Cody had become embroiled in some kind of intra-family dispute. Many of Stepp's distant relatives had openly questioned their ability to raise Cody in a healthy environment, and a degree of suspicion was firmly placed on Cody's paternal relations. The case became even more complex on March 13th of 1997, just 2 days after Cody vanished, when the Columbus Dispatch reported that not a single one of Mickey Stepp's neighbors had stopped her nephew playing outside that evening. However, what they had witnessed was the highly unusual sighting of Mickey and her mother cleaning out their backyard shed after dark. This struck many in law enforcement as an odd contradiction, as it was already highly suspicious that Mickey allowed her 3-year-old nephew to play outside so late in the first place. On March 15th, less than a week after son had vanished. Jackie Chan with 3. E. Get an E in chat. So wait, just to verify, would you guys say that when you look at your subscription feed on the left side of your YouTube browser page, does it show that my channel is live? Because usually that's how it shows it. I just want to verify that that is the case for some, at least, because some people, like earlier somebody was saying that they never see that for my page or whatever. It shows that you're live right now. Okay, yes. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm not blacklisted yet. Yours does not, Shanus. Okay, interesting. It's a red circle and days says live. Okay. Cool. Live as fuck. Sweet. Thank you. On March 15th, less than a week after her son had vanished, Robin Stepp was back in jail on the charge of soliciting an undercover officer. Her arrest fueled rumors that she had been detained in relation to her son's disappearance, forcing Lieutenant David Murray to clarify the reason for her arrest. It was a public relations disaster for the Stepps, and even though they continued to cooperate with local law enforcement, their trial by media was far from kind. Further suspicion seemed to cast their way. I'm on the brown list, yeah. Big pile of poop. Further suspicion seemed to cast their way when police searched the vacant property next to Mickey's home. It was reported that Cody sometimes played there, completely under Fuck. Oh, it shows now, Shanus. Okay, good. It was reported that Cody sometimes played there, completely unsupervised, another detail which contradicted Mickey Strepp's claim that Cody never played alone or out of their sight. Detective Murray was once again quick to stifle any attempt to turn suspicion onto the Stepps, stating that, quote, "This is the nature of investigations. We can't exclude anything." The investigation appears to have stagnated until August of 1997, when the nationally syndicated TV show America's Most Wanted took an interest in the case. Local police took the opportunity to beg the public for information, asserting that it was never too late to come forward. There has to be people out there who were initially afraid to call us, and maybe they thought we would find him, Detective Mark Annan was quoted. Mark Annan. On? What the fuck? What about Annan? Okay, we'll go with Annan. Teriyaki beef sticks? Fuck yeah, dude. But you're on my Apple TV. Let me out. Let me out. There has to be people. Okay. You see it indicating live. Thanks, dude. There has to be people out there who initially were afraid to call us, and maybe they thought we would find him. Why does that sound like a contradiction in a statement? There has to be people out there who were initially afraid to call us, and maybe they thought we would find him. Oh, I see, like they just didn't think it was worth calling or something. There has to be people out there who initially were afraid to call us, and maybe they thought we would find him, Detective Mark Annan was quoted as saying. But we're asking them to call us, anonymously if need be, because we still need their help. When the Columbus Dispatch contacted Robin Stepp in her jail, her prognosis was grim. She firmly believed that Cody had been abducted by a friend or family member, and that he'd most likely been trafficked across state lines to either Kentucky or West Virginia. Robin claimed that her family had complained to Child Protective Services about her and openly argued that she wasn't fit to be a mother. In rebuttal to these accusations, Robin was quoted as saying, "I love my son more than anything in the world, and I want him back. Cody was the best gift I had ever got in my life. I want him to know that Mommy loves him and misses him, and I want him home." Robin also stated that she was taking part in a jailhouse rehab program and planned to dedicate herself to the search for her boy once she was released. As summer turned to fall, law enforcement's official line of thinking still focused on an opportunistic abduction, but behind the scenes, an increasing number of detectives began to surmise that Cody's Aunt Mickey was responsible for the boy's disappearance. After months of intense interviews with a plethora of different witnesses, it became clear that Cody had been missing long before March of 1997. In fact, certain close neighbors claimed that they hadn't seen the boy since the summer of the previous year. Supporting this assertion was the fact that a search of Mickey's home had turned up very little evidence that Cody had been living there in the first place. A few items of suspiciously clean children's clothing were found, but there were no toys, no baby food, and no potty training devices, all things one might expect to find in the home of a 3-year-old. Mickey Stepp denied that this was the case, claiming she'd taken Cody to a doctor's appointment that summer. Police contacted the doctor in question, who confirmed that Mickey Stepp had brought her nephew into his clinic for a routine checkup. However, when shown a photograph of young Cody, the doctor appeared perplexed. The boy in the photograph was not the same child he had seen to that day, but if he wasn't Cody, who was it? It came to light that on the night before the doctor's appointment, Mickey Stepp had contacted the parents of one of Cody's friends and invited their child to come over for a sleepover. The parents of this child trusted the Stepps completely, but were forced to admit that they never actually... Let me spritz my throat with some throat spritz. Is the last story? Sorry, I just got... No, we got one more after this, but I do believe that this is the longest story in the bunch. The only annoying thing about this throat spritz is it gets fucking stuck. The little lever. How to pop my toe knuckles? You don't know how to do that? You can just do it on the floor, kind of, if you're standing. Or I guess you could be seated too and do it. You just kind of bend them. Step spray, I'm stuck. The parents of this child trusted the Stepps completely, but were forced to admit that they'd never actually seen Cody in their care. In truth, the invitation was a ruse, and it was Cody's young friend who was taken to the doctor's appointment in his place. When news of the deception reached the Columbus chief of police, both Mickey Stepp and her mother were invited down to the precinct to undergo lie detectors tests, but refused the invitation, with the decision marking the end of their cooperation with law enforcement. By March of 1998, police found more possible evidence against Mickey and Janice. A detective, Jim McCoskey, revealed that Cody's maternal grandmother A detective, Jim McCoskey, revealed that Cody's maternal grandmother, Janice, was suspected of having a history of child abuse. Back in 1964, Janice had lost her youngest daughter, Tenny, under highly suspicious circumstances. She too had been just 3 years old. Her official cause of death had been bronchitis, but an autopsy revealed Did I retire chat BBC tonight? Yeah, I'm afraid to use it because I'm afraid that there's some sort of network. I'm trying to sound smart, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But basically I'm trying to say is I'm like afraid that there's some sort of like network interaction between chat BBC, because basically what happened the first time was I was trying to enter chat BBC during a highly trafficked time of that night for it, I guess, because every time it asked me to verify what was human, it wouldn't let me in. It kept resetting but not giving me a specific reason, right? So I did that like probably 15 times just trying to get it to do it. It's probably a voodoo curse. Yeah, exactly. And then for the previous time when it did it, but the weirdest thing was, it's not that my internet went down. That was the strangest part. It's not that my internet went down. It's just that specifically my streaming software disconnected from, YouTube, Streamlabs OBS or whatever. And which is really strange. Like I've never just like had that go out but not my internet, so it's kind of odd. And then to be using it the other night, and then at that point I had multiple tabs of it open because I was trying to ask it different questions while also keeping the grammar kind of organized in the other one while fixing the grammar on the stories. And then that caused it to go. So I'm almost thinking if there was like too many instances of trying to connect to it that it would like, in my mind, I'm thinking it's like this is just my suspicion. It could be totally bullshit, but I'm almost thinking of it in like like you've heard of Cloudflare. I'm thinking it in like how Cloudflare like protects against DDoSing and shit like that. I'm almost thinking like it perceived. Yeah, it's because I kept a Pornhub tab open. Sorry about that. It's because I almost feel like as if though it perceived it was being inundated with multiple instances of network connection from like one particular IP or some shit, and then it like sends like a defense correspondence back and basically had some sort of strange interaction with my network connection on streaming, almost like it disconnects you briefly, which maybe in that case then OBS didn't know how to like respond. Basically I'm trying to think how like everything I'm saying makes zero sense, so but I just like saying it because it makes me feel better, I guess. Anyways, Shushi Two Shoes, welcome back for 3 months in the Buttersock call. Says, good night, everyone. Have a great night. I've got an early morning tomorrow. Well, good luck, Sushi. Best of luck to you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here, and thank you for the 3 months. Her official cause of death had been bronchitis, but an autopsy revealed several indicators of serious physical abuse, one being cigarette burns. Detective McCoskey also discovered that Tenny would be sat on a hot stove as a punishment for potty training accidents, and that prior to her death, she'd been sick for weeks on end before Janice finally sought medical attention. In McCoskey's own words, the fact that no formal charges had ever been brought against Janice was shocking, and he began to doubt that Cody would ever be seen again. In the spring of 1998, just over a year after her son was first reported missing, Robin Stepp attempted to have Cody declared legally deceased. Some observers were stunned that Robin would be so quick to give up bringing Cody home, but legal experts seemed quite certain that the move was a strategic one. On August 24th of 1998, Judge Lawrence Belkis ruled that there was not enough evidence to declare Cody deceased, saying that, at this point, we don't know if the child is missing, sold for ransom, murdered, or if he fell down a sewer drain. It was a major milestone in the case, and it forced many a cynical detective to reevaluate their previous convictions. The investigation had only slowed on the assumption that Cody was dead. Oh yeah, dude, today's weather was so nice. It was in the 80s, which was fucking nuts. It was knucking futs. It was awesome. Excuse me. Pennywise got him, that's what I was thinking. The investigation had only slowed on the assumption that Cody was dead, and although there was a great deal of support on such a theory, it was just as probable that he was still alive and in the custody of relatives out of state. And with that in mind, detectives began to re-interview Aunt Mickey and Grandma Janice, only this time, their questions had a much more accusatory tone. Although Mickey admitted to feeling responsible for Cody's disappearance, she flat out denied any direct involvement. One detective then asked Mickey to confirm that Cody had been wearing shorts and a light tee when he vanished. Mickey reportedly nodded, but was swiftly reminded that it was just 28 degrees Fahrenheit on the evening of March 11th. For anyone measuring temperatures in Celsius, 28 degrees is just below freezing point. Wait. 28 degrees, you mean Fahrenheit? Anybody measuring? Oh, I see. Okay, maybe I'll see. Yeah, for anybody measuring in Celsius, 28 degrees Fahrenheit is just below freezing point. Okay, that's what I meant to say. You're having a sandstorm at the moment? Interesting. You love the desert. I always thought the desert would be pretty cool. There's something about it that is really mysterious. Big sky, sort of like a spiritual vibe to it, you know what I mean? I guess really anywhere in the world with outdoor stuff, basically all of Earth has some sort of spiritual vibe to it. You can make sandcastles in a sandstorm. I feel like it would get all up in your eyeballs. For anyone measuring temperature in Celsius, 28 degrees Fahrenheit is just below freezing point, meaning Mickey's step was either extremely neglectful that night or she was lying. Another detective was sent to question one of Janice's more estranged daughters, a girl from her first partner named Diane. She was only too happy to confirm that her mother had been a monstrous disciplinarian. Janice abused all her children, but Tenny received the worst of it. Despite such damning testimony, the police determined that there was simply not enough evidence to support the theory that Mickey and Janice were responsible for Cody's disappearance. Fuck. I hate it when I squeak. It's 6 degrees Fahrenheit with 91% humidity where I am. Nice, dude. Get ready for a little rain. If Cody had been spotted in the company of a... Wait, where the fuck was I? What? Did I miss a whole fucking page? Oh, I see. Yeah, I did. You played Silent Hill? I have not, no. I like the movie, though. The original. Well, not the original, but the more recent. Well, no. When did that come out? Like 2007? I don't know. Despite such damning testimony, the police determined that there simply wasn't enough evidence to support the theory that Mickey and Janice were responsible for Cody's disappearance. This ruling was challenged in the summer of 1999 when Robin Stepp attempted to prove that Cody had been exposed to the specific peril of death. If she won, it would open up the legal avenues that she needed to mount a civil lawsuit against her sister and mother. Robin's attorney claimed the appeal was based on Cody's potential exposure to the cold weather, his extreme vulnerability, and the interference that he lived in an abusive home environment. All the inference, motherfucker. and the inference that he lived in an abusive home environment. But bizarrely, a court ruled that Cody had not been exposed to any excess danger, citing that exposure to the cold and Janice's history of abuse were insufficient. If Cody had been spotted in the company of a stranger either on the day he disappeared or during the days prior, that would be a different story. But the fact remains that there were serious inconsistencies with the given narrative, and until they could be resolved, no such ruling could be made. 5 years later, Mickey Stepp passed away, maintaining her fuck. Explooged. What? You fell asleep for a minute? Oh my gosh, you gotta pay attention. Wake up, 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 wake up. Five years later, Mickey Stepp passed away, maintaining her innocence on her deathbed. She also claimed that her mother was also entirely innocent of any involvement in Cody's disappearance, saying that she hoped that one day the mystery would finally be solved. On March 11th of 2007, the Columbus Dispatch published a 10-year anniversary article which detailed Cody's disappearance. The article included an extensive interview with Detective Jim McCoskey, who told reporters that the case remained so dear to him that he kept a box of its evidence at his home. Cody could have quite literally been sold, he said, adding that the boy might be living under as assumed. Cody could have quite literally been sold, he said, adding that the boy might... What the fucking Christ, I can't stop squeaking. It's supposed to be 90 here in good old Massachusetts. Fuck yeah, dude. Seems like we're all getting a bit of a warm front coming through. What's up, Carly? Bong? No. Gargle? Yes. Do, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do. Am I in Boston? Hey, not quite. Cody could have quite literally been sold, he said, adding that the boy might be living under an assumed name, having no idea that he's been missing since infancy. A reporter then asked McCoskey if it were possible that Cody was simply happily... A reporter then asked McCoskey if it were possible that Cody was living happily in his ignorance. No, I don't, the detective replied. If he is alive, he might well have been sold into some kind of human trafficking ring. We just don't know. 18 months after the Dispatch ran their anniversary piece, police received a call from an anonymous tipster who claimed that the child's body was buried in a field off Parsons Avenue, not far from where Cody had been staying with Mickey. A cadaver dog was dispatched to search the field, and it indicated that human remains were present in several different spots. A large backhoe was used to excavate the area of interest, but frustratingly, nothing was found. Robin Stepp welcomed the news, reasserting that her boy was alive, an assertion that was vindicated a short while later when a rather intriguing blog post began to make the rounds. A woman by the name of Linda Fox claimed to have had a very unusual interaction with a boy near Lebanon, Ohio during December of 2007. Linda said that while driving around 3 miles east of the town, she'd spotted what appeared to be a 9-year-old boy walking at the roadside. Given that it was raining, Linda offered the boy a ride and struck up a conversation with him during the drive. The boy told her his name was Irwin and that he was 13 years of age. This immediately. Albert Brito with the 5 says, take my money. Thank you, Albert. Thank you. Good to see you. What's your profile picture, Albert? It looks like Batman. Kind of. Have you ever been to Comic-Con or SAW-Con? Sock on these nuts. And named Nut Zach. Perfect. What do you think of red dye 40 and all the artificial colors? I don't know. I remember, like, my one friend, he had a ongoing thought in his mind that, like, he wouldn't let his one son have anything with red color dye 40 because he said it enhanced his son's ADHD style symptoms or something. And I'm not saying that, I mean, sure, there could be a correlation there. I have no fucking clue what any of that is. So, I had no idea, to be honest with you. SJ Curtis with the twos says, hey, Joel, yeah, you rock. Good Stevening. Good Stevening. Thank you. Thank you, SJ. Good to see you. It raises aggression. Oh, see, that would make more sense. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Because he's a good kid now. But yeah, when he was little, he was quite aggressive. But I mean, that also just, I feel like, kind of comes from various other variables. Various variables for 200. Albert Burrito with the 5s. It's Batman, and I got a question. Insane Asylum or Cemetery? Probably Insane Asylum, I think. Those just seem creepier to me. Cemeteries are creepy too, but there's something about being innately stuck inside of a location that feels more sort of contained as like a whole, as like a cohesive entity, whereas cemeteries don't really have a cohesive entity vibe to them. They have more of it's like a city of dead, you know? Like almost like, I don't know, there's too many sort of genetic spiritual memories connected to it that it's almost not one specific one of them can really take over, I guess, if that makes sense, in a sort of hierarchy sense. A cemetery, yeah. I burped right after you did. It's contagious, dude. You made me burp. Maybe you burped through me. Who knows? Your boyfriend acts super concerned about red 40, but eats Doritos and gummies. Yeah. And then he punches walls. He's like, I fucking love these so much. Fuck yeah. You think that would happen to your dad too with the red dye? I don't know. I'm not saying it's. I mean, if I'd like to see the studies because it would be fascinating. Isn't it weird? Like, what the fuck? Like, the human body is such a strange thing. I was thinking earlier, like, you know, you've heard of like the concept that you can like hack. Albert with the 5, good choice. I'll start training. Okay, well, be safe. Whatever you do, be safe and don't get hurt. Don't get tetanus. Don't cut your hand on glass. So wear gloves and shit. And don't do anything illegal so that you don't, you know, be catching any charges. And maybe bring a friend if they'd be so interested. But I was just thinking earlier, like the human body is such a strange thing, right? You ingest a chemical, the chemical goes into your bloodstream, the bloodstream takes it to other parts of your body, and then it interacts with specific areas like within the brain, you know what I mean, to then create a sense of aggression. Like, isn't that just strange? Like how that all just sort of lead, because, you know, some people think about aggression and they just think like, just control yourself, just control yourself, just control yourself. And it's like, that's true. I totally agree with that. There is a degree of control, but like, what if like we don't have as much control over ourselves as we actually think? And then I was also thinking of like a sort of this is shower thoughts. I'm like showering, thinking these thoughts, and then I thought of like a weird dystopian future nightmare that's really doesn't seem all that dystopian. Well, not necessarily not all that dystopian, but like all that abstract from a potential reality. But I was thinking like, what if our smartphones could collect biometric data on us, right? So like anything from, you know, our heart rate to blood pressure. It could also recognize like our speech patterns because of how many calls we've taken or how many times we've spoken around it, to the extent that it could tell based on those sort of things whether or not we're lying, right? Say you call somebody and you do these particular actions that indicate you're lying, and it's like maybe more, the phone would be more accurate than a lie detector test or some shit like that. And then basically from all that metadata that it's able to collect on you over time, I'm not exactly sure how this would manifest in my hypothetical government that I'm creating in my head, but all of a sudden that metadata is able to determine whether or not you are trustworthy as a citizen, or whether or not you are, worthy of certain things. So it almost creates like a social credit score for you that would then be utilized to keep you from doing certain things, like participating in banking, or going on vacations, or leaving your state, or all, you know what I mean? Just like shit like that. No, it's kind of like a Black Mirror type scenario, but it was sort of like, I was thinking like in a fictional sense. I don't know. Just an idea. It's actually from Black Mirror. It might be. Maybe I subconsciously buried it in my mind from something else. And Albert Burrito with another 5 says, if I get a video overnight and something happens, will you discuss it? Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know how much of the video can actually include the, the actual video stuff, just because you kind of have to like, and I say this respectfully, but you kind of have to like get to the point of it. So like, if there were context to what you were doing and doing that, and then you like, and remember my channel is like more oriented towards like scary interactions with people. So if it was like some interaction with some sort of crazy dude or something like that, but obviously, on a subscriber story video or something, or like one of the Reddit stories where you include subscriber stories, or really any story, I guess, or any video rather, is what I'm trying to say. You could submit it, and because I was thinking of more generalized stories with the Reddit ones, but if there was something paranormal that occurred, you could discuss it. You would do well in your own radio talk show podcast. Yeah, maybe. I don't fucking know. Sometimes my brain goes from one thing to the next. That's why the stories I feel like are good for me, because it's sort of a cohesive direction of the stream. Otherwise I would just be rambling on and on forever about nothing. China already has social credit scores. Well, I was curious about China's, like how they specifically work, because the funny thing is like any international Chinese student that you've ever speak to, they never seem to have anything negative to say about China, which I always find like oddly strange. I'm like, you don't? Like, what about the Uyghurs, or what about the fucking fact that they shut your internet off if you say anything bad? I don't know, and that's probably why they don't say anything bad, because in their mind they're like, well, I don't want to get in trouble. But it is strange to think, like, we sit here and act like in our westernized countries as if though we're immune to that, But think about it, like, you feel social pressure just from your family on things that you can say. Imagine if you felt legal pressure from your government on like what you could say. You would probably not speak, pretty quickly if put in a scenario in which you were I don't know. The Restrict Act bill is very bad. Yeah, I've heard about, banning TikTok and how it makes sense. But then at the same time, what is the Restrict Act bill about? Like, because I heard it was like the Patriot Act 2.0 when it comes to spying on citizens and stuff like that. But I didn't know the specifics though, and it's kind of scary. Amalia, welcome back for 6 months. Says, hey Joel, it's been a while since I joined one of the live streams, but I'm glad I'm here. It's been a bad day, but this is a nice distraction. Oh, I'm sorry about your bad day, but I'm glad to have you here. And thank you for 6 months. Do I play any instruments? I fiddle around from time to time. You're gonna get a watermelon popsicle? That sounds fucking awesome. How many more stories? Well, we're almost done with this one. Then we got one more after this, another true crime. Oh yeah, and instead of doing abs, we'll do some steel drum after we read the outro. It's so much more than TikTok. I heard that, yeah, I don't know. It's so frustrating to me because, you look at all the shit that, like, people, like, get on about stuff on Twitter, like starting movements and stuff. And then you actually have like an act like this, right? Wherein you imagine everyone could kind of rally behind it, see the truth behind it, and be like, oh, this is not good. Maybe we can put pressure on our, elected representatives to not vote for this. But then all of a sudden you don't really see it within social media, like trending and that kind of thing. And it kind of makes you wonder if all of those particular movements that a lot of people think that they're a part of, specifically on Twitter, is just curated nonsense for the most part. Like they're just being led in one direction when in reality, what they're actually should be concerned with is just like under their noses. And then they're just led to like argue with each other about semantics on a specifically different topic, just quite strange. Albert Burrito with the 2 says, have you heard the story of the mirror game? I have not. What's that about? It sounds creepy. You have a clarinet with no mouthpiece and a flute. That's cool. This immediately struck Linda as odd, as the boy seemed no older than elementary school age. Then when she asked him where he lived, the boy appeared to have no idea. He knew that he was living with his aunt named Donna, but had no idea what either of their surnames were. Undeterred by the boy's apparent ignorance, Linda continued to drive him around until finally deciding the best thing to do was to drop him off at a local police station. The officers there would be much better to place her. Freedom is a mindset? I guess so. You could be free even inside of a cage, but I'd rather be free on top of a mountain. The officers there would be much better at helping young Irwin, and if there was indeed something untoward going on, then they'd most certainly pick up on it. However, when Linda announced her motherly intentions, little Irwin began to protest dramatically. He insisted that he wasn't in trouble, and then fled from the car as soon as she parked outside the precinct. Following the encounter, Linda said that she searched Ohio's missing children database, making a shocking discovery in the process. While browsing one organization's website, Linda noticed the missing person's profile of a certain Cody Stepp. The profile included an age-progressed picture of the boy, depicting what he might look like at this current age. The picture looked almost exactly like little Irwin. Linda ran to her car to retrieve the small ice cream carton that Irwin had been eating out of during the previous evening. Linda had briefly stopped to buy the boy ice cream to calm him down, but he still fled her car once they arrived at the police precinct. Linda claimed that she drove straight back to the same precinct and turned over the ice cream carton as potential forensic evidence. She also directed the police to the missing person website she'd been browsing, vehemently insisting that the boy she'd seen was Cody Stepp. An officer attempted to assuage her fears, telling her that the boy was most likely just a local runaway, but Linda wasn't convinced. She tried to keep in touch with the officers she'd spoken to, but there seemed to be no developments, and in the end, they politely asked her to stop calling. Linda's story certainly makes for an interesting one, but it's worth noting that it's never been properly verified. One of the details in her blog post are information that was freely available to the public, meaning there's always a chance that her account was fabricated. In the fall of 2014, burn/break the mirror and try to survive till 6 a.m. Oh. I feel like maybe I did hear that one, creepypasta or something like that. It smells funny outside and I live next to train tracks. I'm sure it's fine. Maybe there was something in the train metal as it went by that burned it or something. Unless there was like you're implying like a derailing or something. That would be scary. Isn't it kind of strange? That's why I even said, like, everyone's already forgotten about that Palestine, Ohio derailing. Just no one gives a shit. And I think the difficult thing really, when you really take a second to think about it, as a human being, as an individual human being who wakes up every day, eats a bowl of fucking, dog food or cereal or whatever it might be, and then goes to work, do you really have time, you know, as an individual point of perspective in the grand ocean of reality and human beings on Earth? Do you really even have time to worry about everything all at one time? You know what I mean? You just, and that's the thing, is that even if you haven't forgotten, there's probably times throughout the day that you may have forgotten. And I guess the biggest thing is the fact that not a lot of people are talking about it, and then they all just kind of move on, you know? Because I don't know. We're just not really motivated as a culture to really do anything. I think the one thing that I find most interesting about the media is that, like, a lot of what occurs is just a process of, like, stepwise conditioning, where, like, the media tells you day in and day out that there's an issue, there's an issue, there's an issue, there's an issue. And you're just like, man, we really got to do something about it. You'll never do anything about it. Reasonably so, just like I would never do anything about it. But because you hear about it repetitiously, you perceive it as an ongoing issue that must be solved, and you just kind of want to get that buzzing out of your fucking ear, so whenever, you know, an entity of power tells you that they have a solution for it, you know, you're more than willing to just tell them to fucking take care of it, because you'd rather it be done by somebody else than handled by, you know, you and your surrounding community or anything specifically. So it's, I don't know, everything just feels as if though it's just our minds are being sort of led in a direction. Albert Burrito with a 2 says, the older the mirror, the better the luck. I'll try. Okay, be careful. Mirrors are kind of I always felt like they're very weird. You've been watching for 8 years, Jack. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Merry Christmas, everyone. Is it Merry Christmas? Oh, no, it's April. Yeah, no, that's the tough thing, is you search for the truth and you find it, or maybe you think you find it, and you realize there's not much you can do. I think the one truth that I've come to find as an individual is just, like, take care of your health. Take care of those around you and the ones that you care about. Take care of your community. Try to make a difference in the small community and the relationships that you have around you. And then that sort of, like, mentality can kind of, like, radiate outwards from there, where each individual that's, like, waking up to the understanding that it's a struggle to get super involved in, like, the bigger things, you know, because it's tough to really make a difference when you don't have that sort of political power to do so, or money, or whatever it might require. But if you start small, I feel like at the end of the day, that's the only thing that really counts, you know what I mean? Did you hear about the train carrying the contaminated soil from Palestine actually derailed and crashed? No way. Did it really? I would not be fucking surprised. They just picked up the shit and just brought it even. Where did it derail at? That's something that I can imagine. Oh my god, dude, what the fuck? Don't add any more hell into the world than there already is. Yeah, that's a good saying, I'd say. It might be tough to make a difference, but you can still try. Why assume everyone else will do it? They want you to do that. They want you to think that you can't do anything. Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying, is, like, you have to start small. You have to start in your community and kind of build outwards. You know, getting on fucking Twitter and typing a bunch of words on there. Tell me one fucking time that something that's trended like 50,000, 100,000, you know, been seen by millions of eyes has really even made that much of a fucking difference, you know? Words are just words on the fucking internet, you know? It's like, if you really want to make a difference in your community, you really do have to just get out there and be the change you want to be. Most of the details in her blog post are information that was freely available to the public, meaning there's always a chance that her account was fabricated. In the fall of 2014, the Columbus Monthly published an article which revisited Cody Stepp's disappearance. They spoke with his mother, Robin, who had been clean for 4 years by that point. She said that she thought about Cody every day. how chubby his cheeks were, and how full of energy he was. She was still optimistic that Cody would be found one day, yet Detective Jim McCoskey did not share her optimism. By 2014, McCoskey was convinced that Cody was dead, and that his aunt and grandmother were somehow responsible. Both Mickey and Janice had both passed away by that time, meaning any secrets they held had been taken to the grave. Pamela Taylor, whose son had given Robin a ride on the day that she got out of prison, told ABC that she was hopeful that Robin would one day be reunited with her son. "There's no closure," she said, "and there never will be until the day we find him. I just hope that it's here on Earth." If he's still alive, Cody Stepp is 29 years old and may not even remember his old family. Perhaps Detective McCoskey is right and Cody was dead before he even was reported missing. But then again, maybe a mother's intuition is correct, and Cody is out there somewhere, be it in West Virginia, Kentucky, or maybe even Lebanon, Ohio. What's my favorite genre of stories to tell? I like the paranormal ones. I just feel like they're a certain degree of just kind of disconnected from you, but also kind of mysterious, you know? You like think you don't have to worry about it, but they're interesting in that way. Excuse me. You still have Facebook, but I'm mostly on Instagram. Yeah, I got rid of my Facebook a long time ago. And honestly, it was actually kind of interesting how stopping Facebook back in the day when I had like a personal one, it felt very similar to like, not completely similar, but there was a degree of like, what the fuck is it called? What is it called? Fucking withdrawal. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Withdrawal symptoms. Like in the sense that you just like instinctively go to click, you know, you sign into a browser or whatever, and you instantly go to like type in Facebook or, you know, yeah, sorry. I don't know how I forgot withdrawal. I kept thinking like RE for some reason. But you like instantly or look on your phone, or you know what I mean, all these particular things that you're just kind of used to, those habits, those repetitious movements. And I remember years ago when I did delete it, I remember reactivating it just because I kind of wanted to get back into it, but thankfully eventually I just got rid of it. But it was just, I don't know, every time you get on there you just feel gross, you know, you just feel gross looking through other people's shit, through their feces, through their pictures and their life and all their bullshit, and feeling mad about it kind of, or like slightly irked, all that kind of stuff. It's I don't know, it's just weird. It's just a weird sensation to kind of voyeuristically be staring at other people's stuff. And it's even stranger too to just like how proud we are as people to like show off our fucking images of ourselves to like anybody. Any random stranger can just stare at me. Go ahead and stare at me. So all social media be banned? No, I don't know about all that. I think it comes down to the individual's choice on how to get rid of it and stuff. I mean, I've heard like, you know, Meta I've heard is like, which is Facebook, farms your data even harder than fucking TikTok does, where TikTok actually has to like, you know, go through the process of looking you up or something like that, but Meta, you know, doesn't have to run that through, you know, through any sort of governmental process. They can just go right to it. And really the only way to get rid of it, even after you uninstall it from your phone or your desktop, TikTok and that kind of thing, is to completely like wipe your hard drive or like do a factory reset. Otherwise it's still like the whatever about it still exists in there and can still operate, collecting the data it needs to. I don't know exactly how that works, but a little scary. And strange too. I don't know. It's kind of funny when if you've ever read Sun Tzu and the Art of War. In Sun Tzu and the Art of War, one of the things that Sun Tzu says is like when an outlying village is doing something, or an enemy is, or your people are doing something, that you don't immediately interfere with them, but you just watch. You watch. You surveil, right? You surveil them. You keep an eye on things. And I feel like that's kind of like a strange thing within the modern sense that like governments are obsessed with, is surveillance, constantly watching things, constantly observing things. And it is fascinating. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, because you never really like present yourself, you never really like expend resources where unnecessary, but it's almost like you're always just like you're creepily looking for your opportunity, you know? Yeah, keep your enemies closer, which in many ways the government would certainly perceive its people as its greatest enemy, I guess, you know, which is sad. Can they really watch billions of people? I mean, you would have to do it through different networks, obviously, but eventually I imagine you would just develop an AI system that sort of detects basic patterns, or if you needed to find someone specific, you can just, you know, ping radio tower, you know, cell phone towers, things like that. And I'm sure that there's also varying degrees of software available to, you know, not, you know, the local police force might have something different than the CIA and blah, 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 you know, I'm sure. It's whatever. I guess as long as we still have Pizza Hut, we'll be fine. On December 22nd, fuck. On December 29th of 1999, two high school friends named... Also, did that last story have anything to do with sleepovers? You're in YouTube jail, this is a test. I can't read it. I just made that up in my head. Did that have anything to do with a sleepover, the last one? Was someone sleeping over? I don't think it had anything to do with a sleepover. Was the little kid sleeping over at his aunt's, or she was taking care of him, so technically he was doing an extended sleepover, I guess. I don't fucking know. On December 29th of 1999, two high school friends named Loria Bible and Ashley Freeman organized a sleepover to celebrate the latter's 16th birthday. The plan was to hit up a local pizzeria, then spend the evening over at Ashley's house. They'd watch movies, eat ice cream, talk about boys, all the typical activities one might expect of a teenage girl's sleepover. But little did the girls know, that night would be their last. At around 5:30 the following morning, a motorist contacted the local fire department to report that the Freeman home was on fire. After dousing the flames, firefighters quickly determined that the cause of the blaze had been arson, but were unprepared for the horror which greeted them inside. Lying on the floor of her bedroom was Ashley Freeman's mother, Kathy. She had been executed with a single gunshot to the head. There were no signs of their No signs of their what? No signs of... Alright. You have no visitors anymore because they like to... Holy shit. Pradeep scared the shit out of me. He laid at my feet and his tail was like wrapping around my fucking toes. Dude, he's the fucking infected toe gobbler. The new Overwatch rank seems clapped so far. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I think they're fixing it, but I guess it makes it seem like you get decay once you first start or something. But then after you place, supposedly you get brought up to where you should be or something. I don't fucking know. But the new hero, and they even said that they're doing some reworks, is kind of clunky to play because, you know, you have a fire and then you have a heal, but you have to switch back and forth, kind of like Mercy. But the thing is with Mercy, I don't know, it's like a simple, like, just scroll of the wheel. You know, you scroll your wheel and you switch to your gun or something, and then most of the time you're healing anyways, because Mercy is a very heal-dominant, high-mobility character. This character, it's pretty easy to kill from what I could tell. You know what I mean? Like, if you got on that character, like, sure, there was certain things, like he could bring somebody to him to protect him, or he could go up on his little flower petal thing to go up in the air, but most of the time if you get him isolated, he's dead. But I think the more frustrating part is, like, his healing output is not great even when it's out, but then the fact that, like, you have to, like, clunkily switch between, by pressing 1 or 2 to switch between fucking your healing and your shooting, it's too slow, and it needs, I don't know, it needs to be, like, kind of, you know, work to be similar to Kiriko or whatever, with her left click heal, right click, you know, fire. Laura O'Connor with the 11 Canadian maple syrup dollars says, a creepy uncle made us mess message. Made us mess message. Okay. That's good to know. We stan a creepy uncle, especially if they donate. Poking you when Overwatch is over. I'm sorry. I just gotta get it out of my system. There were no signs of Ashley or Loria, although the latter's girl... Motherfucker. There were no signs of Ashley or Loria, although the latter girl's car was found in the Freeman's driveway with the key still in the ignition. It became evident that whatever had happened, Loria Bible had attempted to flee from it, and more likely than not, she had been unsuccessful. At first, some detectives began to theorize that Ashley's father, Danny, was responsible for the murder of his wife, but the possibility was quickly ruled out after his corpse was discovered under the smoking ruins of his own home. He, too, had been shot execution style. The crime caused a wave of shock and outrage to ripple throughout the community of Welch, Oklahoma. Welsh. Be the creepy uncle you needed when you were younger. And donate to a Let's Read stream. This has been Existential Corner with Mr. Let's Read. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty existential when it comes to stuff. I don't know. I just get so fucking sick of everyone, like... I don't know. Sometimes you kind of feel like it would be better to exist in a state of, like, ignorant bliss and just, you know, be one of those people that, like, jacks off to, like, America's Got Talent or whatever the fuck. But it is what it is. Murder always sounds like burger. Welcome to Murder King. We got the meats. Used to be an overachiever and in the limelight too much, but health is going bye-bye finally. What? What are you talking about? The crime caused a wave of shock and outrage to ripple throughout the local community of Welch, Oklahoma, as well as the wider region. But despite a vocal public's impassioned demands for justice, no arrests were ever made, and law enforcement was unable to track down either Loria or Ashley. 10 years went by, and police were still no closer to apprehending the girls' abductors. So in a show of So in a show of dignified acceptance. 10 years went by, and police were still no closer to apprehending the girls' abductors. So in a show of dignified acceptance, Ashley Freeman's surviving relatives had her declared dead in absentia. Motherfucker, I keep forgetting how you say this stupid-ass word. Fucking Latins. Always coming up with crazy, ancient, dead language nonsense. Absentia? In absentia. Hey, Ree! With a 5. Gifters! Yippee! 2. Via R. Lara Anderson. Lo-Fi Lane. Kathy B. and Tracy Lane. You have access now to bonus content. Be sure to thank Ree for their kind donation. Thank you, Ree. A supreme gifter. Absentia. Ashley Freeman's surviving relatives had her declared dead in absentia. In that time, 2 convicted serial killers named Tommy Lynn Sells and Jeremy Jones attempted to confess to the girls' murders in what amounted to a striking contradiction. Both men claimed to have abducted and murdered the girls, with Jones claiming to have murdered the Freemans due to their avoidance of drug debts. He also claimed to have driven both Ashley and Loria to an abandoned mine in neighboring Kansas, where he shot them and threw their bodies into an abandoned mine. Jeremy even named the mine that he'd used to dispose of their bodies, but unsurprisingly, no such remains were recovered during the subsequent search. It later emerged that Jones had fabricated the story to get better food and phone privileges whilst incarcerated, a depressingly common criminal practice made infamous by serial killer Henry Lee Lucas. It should also be noted that just a few years after the murder, serious questions were raised regarding the conduct of the Craig County Police Department. Prior to their untimely deaths, the Freeman family had been engaged in a civil dispute with the local branch of law enforcement, prompted by the shooting of their eldest son, Shane. Shane had been caught red-handed stealing a car near East 2nd Avenue and was shot when an officer suspected of him reaching for a weapon. Why would you admit to a crime you didn't commit? So you can get first in line for pizza night at the prison, duh. Joel is a little lad who loves berries and meat, berries and meat. I love my berries and meat. Oh, Frodo, do you think we'll ever have berries and meat again? Oh, shut up, would you? I gotta put a fucking ring in the fucking fires of a fucking volcano mountain city. Care about your goddamn berries and meat. Shut up. Oh, Frodo, you're so moody. Shane had been caught red-handed stealing a car near East 2nd Avenue and was shot when an officer suspected of him. Fucking Christ on a cross. Why can I not read this shit? Why do I get worse as the night goes on? Why do I get worse? Am I out of fucking sugar juice in my brain? What's the deal? Can someone give me some red 40 so I can just aggressively finish this shit? Shane, that'd be hilarious. They should make a whole fucking like malt liquor called Red 40, and it's just like filled with like like food dye, and it just makes you really fucking aggressive when you drink it, and then you could just blame it on the alcohol, baby. You need more caffeine? Yeah, I had a lot today, though. God, I love, and I know I shouldn't be drinking energy drinks, but I love drinking Reign. If you ever had the Reign energy drinks, I suggest you don't drink them because you could die, but I love drinking them because there's always like the first couple sips when I'm drinking it where I'm just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I have crippling anxiety after that makes me terrified of, my fucking shadow and my potential futures. But for 10 seconds there, I feel pretty good. Reign ain't no bang. Dude, I can't drink the bang. The bang just goes straight to anxiety. Something about the Reign, I don't know if it's, it's got the appropriate food coloring in it, but it just works. Ever had Redline? No. My friend was telling me about in the military, there's like, when you're in the military, there's like a specific energy drink that the military works with that just comes on like pallets and pallets in the Marines or whatever. I forget which, but like whenever he said the name, I'm like, holy shit, that sounds like a fucking, like one of those like discount energy drinks that you get at some fucking off-brand Walmart. Don't do Redline. I do all the Johnny Bravo episodes. Why? The ID for Redline where I live, specifically Redline? Wait, why? Yeah, my bath water is energy drink. It messed up your perception of time? Really? What's in Redline? I want to drink it now. When you tell me no, it means I must. It's got so much caffeine. I thought there would be like a limit. Ever since the military did away with don't ask, don't just make this drink. Oh, nice. Alright. Crack is whack. Shane had been caught. Motherfuck. Horror on the Rocks with Suze. The military energy drink is called RIP. Rip It. Yeah, what the fuck is that? That sounds like some made up shit like from The Simpsons. Like, Duff Man. Be sure to try a glass of Rip It. I love how it's like, I don't know. It's almost like you might as well drink it because it's RIP, as in rest in peace, because you're going to be blown up or something. You love sleepover stories? Perfect, perfect. RIP is from Ram Ranch. Good, 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 good. Ribbit. Yeah, it's like a frog drink. That'd be great. Called Ribbit, and it has Pepe the Frog just like smiling, wearing like military gear. It will foobar your kidneys with too much caffeine. Damn. We don't want none of that. Shane had been caught red-handed stealing a car near East 2nd Avenue and was shot when an officer suspected him of reaching for a weapon. An internal inquiry found the shooting to be a lawful one, but the Freemans ignored the verdict and proceeded to file a wrongful death lawsuit. Experts would later opine that the Freemans had a very convincing argument for wrongful death, and there are claims that the chief of police tried to browbeat the Freemans into dropping their lawsuit. This same chief of police would later profess regret over the way the situation was handled, but denied that his officers were involved in the Freeman's death or the abduction of Ashley and Loria. By April of 2018, the Freeman and Bible families had long since given up on the idea of seeing their girls again. They had accepted the tragic reality that Ashley, Jesus Christ, I'm like mixing their names together now. He was caught red 40-handed. He was caught Edward red 40 hands. Did. Never mind. Yeah, they just make a drink. They mix them all together. Rain, Monster, Bang, Rip It. Can you imagine like a jungle juice at like a party that has just like Rain, Monster, Bang, and Rip It like all mixed into one big fucking fountain or like a keg of sorts with a bunch of whatever like various other alcohols? I feel like everyone at that party would... That's probably what they gave the people at Jonestown, honestly. Just a big mixture of Rip It and other drinks. They had accepted the tragic reality that Ashley and Loria was most likely deceased, but there was one wound that hadn't yet healed. Almost 2 decades later, law enforcement seemed no closer to identifying a suspect as they were in the immediate aftermath, until one day, their phones began to ring. It was the Craig County Chief of Police. Ashley and Loria's killers had finally been identified. Each family remained in a state of shock as they were contacted by a team of state homicide detectives. There was good news, but there was also bad news. The good news was that a 66-year-old named Ronnie Dean Busick was about to be charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, each pertaining to the Freeman murders. 2 other men were believed to have been involved, but had passed away in prison some years prior. Yet the evidence against Ronnie Busick was so strong that a conviction was inevitable. The mention of evidence allowed detectives to segue into the bad news, at which point, the horrifying details of Ashley and Loria's final few hours on Earth were finally brought to light. It was revealed that the girls were indeed murdered over a drug debt, but one belonging to them, not Ashley's parents. Both families were reportedly stunned when they learned of this, as both girls had cut clean and innocent figures. What? Both families were reportedly stunned when they learned of this, as both girls had cut clean and innocent figures against a backdrop of casuals. What is that saying? Both families were reportedly stunned when they learned of this, as both girls had a clean-cut and innocent figure against a backdrop of casual experimentation. The girls were apparently given repeated warnings before finally their debtors called in Dean Busick, Warren Welsh, and David Pennington to make an example of them. Detectives heard that the men had murdered Ashley's parents before her very eyes, telling her such was the fate of those who tried to steal from their employers. The girls were then dragged outside, kicking and screaming, which one of their childhood... Ooga booga booga. Fuck, I can't read. The girls were then dragged outside, kicking and screaming, while one of their childhood homes burned bright in the darkness. One of their childhood homes? What is it? The girls were then dragged outside, kicking and screaming, while their childhood homes were burned, while one of their... because they were friends, sorry, yeah. The girls were then dragged outside, kicking and screaming, while one of their childhood homes burned bright in the darkness. They were thrown into a van, driven out to Warren Welsh's secluded double-wide trailer, then subjected to some of the most horrific tortures imaginable. To provide evidence that their work had been completed, the men took Polaroid photographs of the girls, bound and gagged, with terrified looks on their faces. The Polaroids also showed the girls' physical deterioration as they gradually succumbed to the horrors they were forced to endure, while some depicted the men lying next to the victims, smiling and waving, a sickening pride in their eyes. Once the men grew tired of such depravity, the girls were shot, dismembered, and then tossed into a cellar which was later filled with concrete. Busick claimed that only his two departed accomplices knew the location of the cellar, meaning their final resting places are likely to be uncovered sometime in the far future. When the news of Busick's arrest and forthcoming imprisonment were made public, Loria Bible's mother, Lorene, requested an audience with Busick so she might personally question him. Her request was granted, and on April 26 of 2018, she spoke with her daughter's killer by phone. It's believed that Busick offered her his deepest apology, saying that he deeply regretted the horrors that Loria had been subjected to. However, he was denied all knowledge of the location of their final resting place. He was denied? He was denied or he denied? Cacao Farmer with the 5. Hey Joel and friends, a live stream and payday? Here you go, mate. Buy Pradeep some cat grass. I shall. Speaking of which, he's down here. Come here, buddy. Come here, you little stinker butt. Oh, looks like I got myself a big carp. Carpe diem. Just getting this boy's tummy full of lean right here. You hear it? Wow. 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 Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, his tummy's so full. Okay. Do you ever like pet your cat and you have to like shake off all the fucking stray hairs that's on your body? You're like, did you ever pet your cat? Did you ever pet your pussy cat? Alright. Anyways. However, he denied all knowledge of the location of their final resting place. Lorene Bible spoke to the media shortly after her conversation with Busick, telling them, "We welcome all information leading to their recovery. Until they are home with us, this will never be over." Dean Busick officially pled guilty to being an accessory to the Freeman murders during July of 2020 and was sentenced to serve a total of 15 years behind bars. His incarceration marked the closing chapter of a long and deeply haunting tale, but there were some who felt that justice had been insufficient. 2 of the 3 men involved had escaped the shame of being identified as the monsters they really were, and although they were already incarcerated for various other crimes, there's no doubt that if their fellow inmates had been wise to their criminal histories, their lives in prison would have been painful, terrifying, and very, very short. I promised an accordion song. You want me to play Pradeep like an accordion? Okay, holy shit, we're done. It took me 3 hours and 11 minutes to read 5 stories. Let's read this outro script. You guys gotta think of something funny to say, and then we'll go to the Steel Drummington. I love when you can tell which people in chat still have it on top chat and not live chat. Yeah, I always have to switch it to live chat. I don't know what the fuck the difference is between top chat and live chat. Like, what does it even mean? Top chat. Oh wait, what does it say? Some messages such as potential spam may not be visible. Oh, okay. Even though I feel like that doesn't fucking help. I still see a bunch of spam randomly sometimes. And remember, friends, I'm a little lad who loves berries and meat. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. I'd love to see you there. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/letsreadofficial, or send it over email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on... And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to the podcasts, and... motherfucker. Located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, I'm just a little fella who loves berries and meat. Remember, as if though. Judith with the €6. Almost at 3 years membership. Can't wait for the new thingy me bob next to my name. Oh, thingy me bob. Yeah, new badges. It's gonna be sick. 36 months, I think, is what it is. Yeah, 3 years. But thank you, Judith. That was a long time. You got the fedora, and I appreciate you. Good to see you. And thanks for always keeping your profile consistent. I feel like that's useful for me to keep track of things. All right. Steel motherfucking drum, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Crushing butts. Let's go! And remember, you've been warned. Here we go. Here we go, yo. Thanks for reading. You're welcome. All right. Steel drum time. Feel free to stick around. Feel free to bounce. Whatever you want to do. Just happy you're here. Thank you. I was doing abs during that, doing planks. You guys didn't even realize it. I was just using my toes. Was that pre-recorded? No, I was just fiddling around, having a bit of a fiddle. I didn't record with the remember. No, I did. Right before this. All right. Well, friends, thank you again. A little meditation session. Hell yeah. It's a cool thing. Steel drum. I think you can find all types of different sizes on Amazon. Pretty badass. Pretty freaking badass, if you ask me. But and the cool thing is, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you might have been like, this sounds like shit, but that's okay, because sometimes it sounds good and you're like, oh, that sounds really fucking cool, so you just kind of figure it out till it works. But thank you for sticking around, guys, for being a friend. Yeah. I will, as usual, get these up and edited over on Patreon first thing. It's only $1 a month for early access over there. You can do a free trial. And then I will get it up on YouTube today at 7 p.m. EST for your Friday video, baby. Finish out the week. Otherwise, I'll be back streaming on Sunday, so stick around for that, or hit that notification bell so you know when I go live, or follow me over on Twitter at Let's Read Creepy, where you always get notifications when I go live. And follow me on Instagram and all the other bullshit. You feel me? You feel me? Anyways, friends, stay vigilant out there. You know, at the end of the day, all you got is yourself and your family and your friends and your community. You gotta start small. You gotta start small and work outwards. But I believe you can do it. All right. Love you, friends, and thank you again for all the support. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.